Autobots, transform and roll out!
Mike! 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 So many Mike! So many Mike! So many Mike! So many Mike!
Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back for another thrilling episode of Two Mics, Two Furious Animated Transformers. This is the podcast where we cover Transformers Animated one episode at a time from 2 points of view. My name is Mike Seibert, and I have never watched Transformers Animated before this project. I am your first-time watcher, but I'm not on this journey alone. No, of course not. Guiding me along the way for these last 3 seasons on this animated journey, as always, he's your serial rewatcher. Check it out now. He's the Spark Soul brother. He's the pizza papa who always gets paid. The warrior of the wasteland. The Ayatollah of Rockarola. The bohemian tragedy. He's my friend, author Michael Andrews.
Woo! Thanks, Mike. Wow, that's an intro. I'll take it. You got to keep adding one every time. You're sticking to it.
You got 2 episodes left. And
stretch it out.
Goodness gracious.
God, awesome.
Yes, behold the titles of Michael Andrews.
Yeah, right. Do you have any? Do you want me to do some for you? I mean, what do we got? What do we got for you? You ever give yourself a title?
I'm your first time watcher. It's okay.
Okay, all right. That's good enough.
that is plenty for me, because I think anybody listening and seeing our increasingly long run times know, like, you know what? Mike Seibert's got enough. He says enough.
Okay. Yeah.
I got enough, Mike Seibert. I don't need any more.
Yes, apologies on our runtimes, folks. We got a lot to say. We're in the final stretch, though. We can't not do this show justice.
I, on the other hand, make no apologies. It's like, enjoy your commute.
It's just a Tuesday for you, my dude. You were going to talk that long about that stuff anyway.
Exactly. Pizza legislation? Sure, why not? Oh my goodness. Well, this is but it is interesting though, because like as I've been going through like the runtimes for the season 3 episodes, and they have been getting progressively longer, and I think there's a very specific reason for that, because really everything is coming together. All of the threads are being tied off, and all of the stuff that we didn't have as much to say in the earlier seasons, it's all paying off, because you listen to our discussions and it's all about, oh man, this ties back into that kind of thing. So aside from my esoteric philosophizing, if that's even a word, but like, no, I think there's just more things to say as we wrap up. And quite frankly, a lot of these episodes have a lot of meat on the bone for us to discuss narratively, and to say nothing about how things are reflected through, the times, TM,
yes.
that we're currently in as well. So there's just been, quite frankly, more to say to make a short story long. But
yeah, I mean, I don't want to call the first couple seasons filler by any means, but it does seem like they're densely cramming things into these last few episodes of season 3. Multiple storylines are coming to a head in a single episode. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Well, without any other further ado, we, Michael Andrews, we are not here by ourselves. Also, we have a special guest joining us for this episode, joining us once again for their 3rd go around with the 2 mics joining the 3 Timers Club. A guest so special they don't even need a cool mic themed nickname. Welcome back to the show. It's animation enthusiast and oceanographer. It's our friend Abbey.
Hello, happy to be back.
Hi, Abbey. Welcome.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Of course. And when it comes to podcast length, I appreciate it on my transits from Western to Eastern Washington. So no worries about the 3-hour.
Nice.
Oh, perfect. So we're doing it for you then. That's the whole time we've been doing it just for you. So
it's like, how long this drive is? Just enough for an episode. And when I go back, it'll be just enough for another one.
Another one. And another one.
Right. I was talking to World recently about TFCon LA. They had the opportunity to go down there. We did an episode on my other podcast, Mike Seibert Radio, and we were talking about the run times of two mics, and they said something to the effect of like, oh well, I have like a commute very similar to the one you're describing, Abbey, and they were like, yeah, I could probably get through 2 of those episodes. I'm 2 episodes behind. I'm like, you'll be lucky if you get through an episode and a half. And sure enough, that's what happened. 1.5, not 2. But like,
so this will be a minute by minute breakdown of Abby's commute, and then we'll get to the episode.
Yes,
and then
Yes.
I do appreciate how it becomes increasingly granular. The discussions we have, like now we're having discussions about discussions. This is
very meta.
Yeah, very much so. But I had mentioned other podcast adventures that I've been on lately. Michael Andrews, you 2-time and cheat. You've been stepping out. You doing some.
Yeah,
oh, man.
I will admit I felt a little guilt when it came about. I hadn't mentioned it at all, but yeah.
Well, you had the opportunity to recently unbox with me with our friend Jason from Cracktastic Plastic, and you caught a certain fugitive. You want to tell us about your unboxing adventure?
Yeah. So I'm an avid watcher. I tune in live whenever Jason goes live, have the little notification on my phone. Cracktastic Plastic is not solely a Transformers toy related show, but Jason's very into Transformers. So like I'm always there for whatever he's opening. And recently I haven't bought like a toy in box for a long time, but recently I got my hands on Fugitive Waspinator. Had to have it, of course. Ultimate souvenir of our show. And I just lined it up with him. I just said, do you have this yet? Have you opened it yet? Because he's always asking for people to come on with him and like unbox with him. And I always want to, but like I said, never have anything in a box usually. So he said, I haven't got mine yet. I'll let you know when it ships. And he, I got about a 20-minute notice that he had got it and we're going live. So I just logged off of work and did the thing.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We were just both really excited, kind of like a dual. He has people on, but they aren't often opening the same toy. So we were kind of like, it was kind of a race to get through the thing. And nice. I think I made a crack that like whoever opens it first will get to take over the show, sort of a King Arthur type situation. So I'm sure he appreciated that.
Yeah.
What I really liked and didn't know and was kind of a surprise is the toy actually, the hands flip around to like, so that the stingers can peg in, so he can actually do his animation accurate, like where his hands come together and form a solid stinger. Really cool. I was really psyched about that actually.
Yeah, it's a really fun toy. Like I maintain that toy was always intended to be Wasp first. That they were just like, well, while we're doing this tooling, let's make a Bumblebee out of him.
I believe he's tooling with you, sir.
I like the Bumblebee figure fine. Like the face sculpt is fine. He's got his little side smirk like he's supposed to, but like the Wasp version is really the superior version. Like the greens, the purples. It's just it is a fantastic representation of that character that they made specifically for us. Like, I'm not saying that John Hasbro listens to the Two Mics, Two Furious podcast, but I'm pretty sure he does because they keep making toys specifically for us. I'm so glad you got that figure.
Yeah. Thank you. I guess to tie it back to Abbey, to give her something to talk about. How's your toy collection coming, Abbey? Do you have any? Are you getting into it? Where are you at?
One day it'll happen. One day it'll happen. I did, again, there were some figures at Emerald City Comic Con, but I wasn't quite ready to cough up that price.
Sure.
But I think that is my next step. I have a little bit of art now, so I have my art.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were talking about it off the air, but we should definitely mention that you did some due diligence, you got some artwork. Yeah. I got, these from Andrew Griffith. There's also one other one I have in another part of my room, and it's a very, it's Optimus, Bumblebee, Chromia, Starscream, and Megatron all in one panel. Oh, nice.
So that's very grandiose. But it kind of depends. Do we know what the vendors for Cyberfest Northwest might be? Is that a good plug for you?
Oh, sure.
I would buy something from there.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, Cyberfest Northwest is a great place to get loose figures. You get deals on loose figures. Like, there are some really cool mainstream toy dealers. Like, you've got a Toy Roundup and Kicks Generations toys, for like box stuff. But most of the stuff that the toy dealers sell is used loose figures, usually at really fair prices. So like
this.
As we could see,
my holy grail was there loose.
That is Ultra Mammoth that was a holy grail of Michael Andrews, impossible to find at a decent price. And I happened to come across it at Cybfest, just sitting there on the shelf. And I passed by it. I was like, wait a second. It's a icy blue and white woolly mammoth. I'm like, excuse me, is that a Ultra Mammoth you have there? Why, yes.
That's not just a pickup line he uses, folks. It's a real.
I think, Abbey, if you come out to Cybfest on July 12th at the Kent Commons Community Center, just a few miles south of Seattle, it's dealers of all sizes. Like, you've got folks selling personal collections, and you've also got larger dealers and vendors as well. But the thing that's so cool about Cybfest being a kind of independent fan-run convention is that we're all part of the same community. Like, I'm sure, Abbey, when you went to Emerald City Comic-Con, it's very cool, it's very big, it's very fun, but it's also pretty corporate. It's like it's got like that corporate sheen to it. Whereas we hold Cybfest in a community center, aka a gym. It's literally in a gym. You got like the basketball hoops flipped up. You got the like the hardwood floors, and it's and just by that it has a warmth to it that you don't get in the convention center. That kind of thing. So
I was gonna say it's the equivalent of like when you find when you see reviews for like a taco restaurant and they use like paper plates and tape to serve the food. Like, it's gonna be good. It's really gonna be really good food.
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Very, very community forward. But it's not just toys; it's also art as well. There's a lot of cool independent artists like Ben Hansen that come up and have just really cool stuff. There's a little bit of something for everybody. You could stop by Monica's table, where she's got not only does she have My Little Pony, which is in kind of like the Hasbro Transformers Venn diagram, but she's also got some of the finest knockoffs. Like a favorite of ours is they're like two bots that magnetically crash together and they flip and transform into a unicorn. It's
cool.
Just wild, and she's got some other wild stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's and the cool thing is that with a lot of our dealers is we're all part of the same local community, so we know each other. And I've made jokes before about like some of these toys kind of like change hands a few times. It's like, wait a sec, didn't you buy that from me a couple years ago? That kind of thing. So it's there's if you see something and you don't get it, wait a couple years, it may end up on somebody else's dealer table. But at this point, now that we're going into our 12th year, folks come from all over the Pacific Northwest. There's folks coming from Idaho and from Oregon, and it gives a good mix and variety of all kinds of stuff. It's like if you're looking for vintage G1 stuff, they got it. If you're looking for more contemporary stuff, they got it. That kind of thing. And again, it's the majority of the stuff that you're going to find is loose. So, and with prices to match. So, I found some stuff as a box collector, but that's not necessarily what that show is for. In fact, I've taken stuff like out of the box to sell at Cybfest, that kind of thing. Because that's kind of what that market is looking for. So.
Yeah. And Mike, remind me, is Cybfest one day only?
Correct. Yeah. It's Saturday, July 12th. One day only.
So Abbey, take notes. those one-day conventions, you can get some really good deals on the figures because people want to move them. You know, if you go to something like a TFCon where it's a 3 or 4 day event, no one's giving the good deals on the first day. You kind of got to hope it's still there on the third day. But yeah, cut some deals. That was my favorite part of the dealer room is the wheeling and dealing, making trades, making discounts. Love it.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, and let me throw this out there too. So now I don't have to do a commercial at the beginning of the show because we're just doing it all here. As of this recording, pre-registration is still open. So you can pre-register at the website cybfestnw.com. And the advantage of pre-registering is you get to hit the show floor at 10 o'clock. A full hour before it's open to the public. And a lot of those deals that Michael Anders was talking about happens in that 10 to 11 o'clock hour. Like I've seen some primo stuff leave the show floor before like I'm even set up. Like I'm still, putting all my buttons and pins in and I'm like, oh, well, there goes a HasLab Unicron. That's cool. Like I've literally, like somebody on a hand truck bought a HasLab Unicron from a different dealer and like pushed it out on a cart, and that happened at 10:30. It was nuts. I've seen as many like Titans Return, Fortress Maximus, Combiner Wars Devastator, a lot of like big stuff, but also like some weird vintage stuff. I saw somebody scoop a Binaltech RC underneath me because like I did like a hype video. I'm like, hey guys, I'm here at SciFest. We're getting set up. I'm like, Binaltech RC. I'm going to go buy that later. An hour later, it was gone. Yeah, it's but it is a fun environment. Again, it's family friendly. You got like the kids play area, coloring contests, all kinds of cool stuff. All of that info can be found at the website cybfestnw.com. I'll have a link in the show notes. But yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. So I would definitely recommend folks come out and you can hang out with me. And it sounds like maybe Abbey will make an appearance as well. So that'll be cool.
I'm going to try my best. I was supposed to come last year and it didn't end up happening. So I'm really putting it on the schedule this time.
Abbey, I'm supposed to go every year and I haven't. So you're doing just fine.
Yes, but I think it'd be fun to have a kind of more localized, again, like Emerald City is nice, but again, it's not purely Transformers. I still haven't gone to like a purely Transformers event, and I just think that'd be really nice, especially because it is very focused on the Northwest.
Yeah. Again, that's coming up on July 12th. 2025 show hours are from 11 to 5 at the Kent Commons Community Center. That's in Kent, Washington, which is about 20 miles south of Seattle there. But if you pre-register, you get in an hour early at 10 a.m. Before the general public. General admission prices go up the day of the show. There's also packages for families as well as discounts for kiddos as well, because we try to keep it very family friendly. But again, more information can be found at cybfestnw.com. Really quick, guys, one thing I wanted to loop back around to, I didn't want to lose this thread because it'll never come back up again. Michael Anders, one thing that you said in your Unbox With Me video for the Fugitive Waspinator figure, you had shared that you found that figure out in the wild the day that our Predacons Rising episode dropped, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. The day our episode dropped, I had a half day and I went and did a little toy hunting for the first time in a long time and came across that. There was a sale at Target. All Transformers toys were 30% off at Target. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to go look. It was still up for pre-order on a lot of sites. Didn't think I'd find one in a million years, and there it was. So pretty psyched.
I bring that up, and the only reason I drag this all the way back around because, like, I've said on the show a number of times, I'm not always the most spiritual, but I do believe in certain degrees of serendipity and kismet, and that things happen for a reason. Like, big fate type of, no fate but what we make for ourselves. That kind of thing. But like that was on April 11th, the day the episode dropped, which also happened to be, by weird coincidence, this has never happened before in our podcast and it'll never happen again, but that was also the air date of the episode originally. So, and I did not plan it that way. I didn't even realize it until after I was looking at it, that our episode dropped on April 11th, the same time as the anniversary of the air date of the original episode, the same day that you find Fugitive Waspinator in the wild. And then also, by coincidence, in Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena, WWE SmackDown was happening that night. And I talked about that extent. I'm like, oh yeah, next time they have SmackDown, I'm going to pulled up my sign. I'm like, where's Black Arachnia? And I just like, how bizarre is that was actually happening that day, the same day as all of this other stuff. Like I couldn't get out of here without not mentioning that, because that's like 3 different coincidences for my taste. That's 3 too many. That's weird.
That's like that one day in sports history where all those things happen. There's like a 30 for 30 documentary about it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like where all the sports things like came to culmination.
That's amazing. That is nuts. So, but as I said, we are talking about this is why I hate machines. Two Grumps, Too Furious. And this episode, Michael Andrews, is written by a cat named Rob Hogie. I didn't look up the pronunciation on that, but apparently, according to the TF Wiki, he is a writer and story editor and has worked on a number of animated programs, including Stormhawks, Legion of Superheroes, and Teen Titans. This is his only Transformers credit.
Yeah, his one and only episode. That's really unusual for any writers in Transformers Animated. They all have at least like a couple under their belts. This was kind of wild to see. Also want to notably, he wrote 59 episodes of Generator Rex, or kind of was the showrunner for that show.
Oh, so, yeah, okay.
That's really cool. I really like that show. That's from the Ben 10 creators, Man of Action. So that's kind of in my wheelhouse.
Well, I was going to say, and he's got some Ben 10 pedigree in here as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for sure.
So kind of part of like that kind of stable of it.
So I don't know. Do we do the rap clap for Rob Hogie? I mean, this is his first appearance and last appearance.
First and only.
That's a rap on him. Yeah, that's good.
We salute you. Thank you. Thank you for your service, Rob.
Stop by the tent, grab a sandwich on your way, but that's all we need you for. So.
Yes. Don't forget to get some orange drink. But before we get into kind of the meat of this episode, and there is a lot to talk about, because like, you know, you look at the seasons in the past, it's like, you know, you've got a Sorry No One's Home, you know, like the episode before the grand finale type of thing. And that's kind of where we're at with this, because this is the last stop before the endgame extravaganza, which again will be bittersweet, because like that means we've made it to the end of the road. But on the other hand, we've made it to the end of the road. But Abbey, we'd been in contact since Transwarped, and we were talking about like season 3 episodes, and you had tossed out a couple different titles of episodes that you wouldn't mind joining us for, but this is the one that you stuck up for, because like, you know, we talked about some scheduling stuff, and I'm like let's get some like ranked preferences, and you're like, this is why I hate machines. This is the episode I really want to talk about. The other ones I like, you know, they're fine, but like this is the one I want to talk about. Before we kind of get into like the plot discussion, maybe tell us a little bit about why you chose this episode, and perhaps why over some of the other ones.
Well, it's simple. I find I like grumpy old men, apparently.
You came to the right podcast then.
You know, like Ratchet again is my favorite character, and I think Fanzone is easily a very likable human character. And I think like throughout, not even just in animated, but when people talk about humans in the Transformers franchise, I do see him noted a lot, just as kind of a person that gives character.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I just thought also that it is one of the times where we really get to see Cybertron and people on Cybertron and interacting with that world. And so there was just, it felt like there was a lot happening in this one episode. But I do think in a way it's very contained, because you get introduced really early on to that we are going to be on Cybertron this episode. and it kind of goes through what the differences and what changes have been made even in the time that we've been introduced to these Transformers from season 1, and the changes that are occurring due to the information that we know the Decepticons are real now. Because I kind of forget sometimes is that when it comes to season 1, the Decepticons are kind of a myth still, or they don't really acknowledge that they're still there. And so, like, kind of rewatching again and being like, oh yeah, like, I guess things would change if you know your enemy's still out there and you're having almost, like this, your laws are changing and everything. But again, it was fun. We've seen these Transformers on Earth, and now we're seeing a human on Cybertron. So it was just a fun little switcheroo in that case too.
Yeah, and it's not even like a true fish out of water, because actually, as we'll come to see, I also wanted to bring up Abbey. I don't know if you'll get this reference, Mike. I'm not even sure you'll get this reference, but this episode really reminded me of the City on the Edge of Forever, which is a Star Trek original series episode written famously by Harlan Ellison, aired back in 1967. But it really has that feel. That's where McCoy ends up going back in time to like 1920s Depression era New York, and kind of has the opportunity to like change things. And it's very different for him. And there's sort of like this slant history. And I feel like that's what's happening here. You know, they're not going back in time, but Cybertron's changed so much in a short time under Sentinel. It's really like, you know, they have this moment of like, are we even in the right timeline? Are we even in the right reality here? Like, what has happened? So it was really giving me vibes of that.
Yeah. I just say, and the other one thing is that I think this episode does a really good job of both giving, props to Fanzone and Ratchet. They really expand their character, where they can be very, again, two grumpy old men. You get a little more from that in this episode too.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, they pair off and partner off so well. Like they have very complementary work styles, and I thought that was I thought that was a ton of fun. For as glum as it seems to start. Like I'm watching this as a first timer, and I'm watching like the opening of it, and I'm like, oh man, more Cybertronian bigotry. Good Lord, can we get away from some of this? But once it took me a minute to understand and acclimate to like, well, no, this isn't just how Cybertronians are. Like you're both saying, this is the effect that Sentinel has had in a very short time on the civilian population. Like these are the folks who were in that parade where Sentinel is dragging chained up Decepticon prisoners, talking about how he's going to hunt them all down and stuff. So these, and again, we've talked about how Sentinel is kind of a stand-in for George W. Bush, and how like there's a lot of like kind of like that kind of like post 9/11 type jingoistic weaponizing nationalism and patriotism, for license to go after folks. And it is icky and it's kind of ugly, but I think it's portrayed very well with stunning prescience here in this particular episode. And Michael Andrews, the thing that you were saying earlier about City on the Edge of Forever, first of all, that is probably like the iconic Star Trek episode out of everything else. I mean, like that is kind of categorically considered to be the best of the best. And it's because it has those, heart-wrenching themes of the choices we have to make for the greater good. And I think that that's kind of like a theme that kind of reverberates even through this as well. But some of the vibe that I got, like, when we get to it in the episode discussion, is Cybertron almost feels like even when like Ratchet and Fanzone are driving around, you get kind of like the bad 1985 from Back to the Future 2, where like, Biff's in charge, yes. And it's like, and Biff is corrupt and powerful and married to your mother. And this, I mean, he just throws that over his shoulder, like Doc Brown. Why are you so invested in what's going on with the McFly family? But that's the way I took it. It was like, especially when they pull up to the boarded up McAdams, and Ratchet's like, he's kind of Marty McFly. He's like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. So it's very much like the bad 1985, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think even though we all kind of got different pop culture references from it, it does tend to evoke this time travel, even though it's not technically time travel. There is a feeling of like a timeline alternate reality thing happening, and I think it's maybe that's why this writer was tapped. Maybe he's got something in his background that was like that that was his wheelhouse. And it kind of makes me think about the fish out of water thing that I said, where Ratchet's almost the fish out of water in this, because this is not the Cybertron he knows. So he's like, what the hell do we do here? And maybe that's why Fanzone kind of takes the lead, because he's just like, he's got that line of like, there's one in every town, and this is just another dirty city. He's got, it's all black and white, and he's wearing the trench coat, like just another horrible city as he smokes a cigarette. Like
he lives in Sin City. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Frank Miller character. Good.
Oh, Frank Miller Fanzone. Let's see the miniseries. Come on.
Oh my gosh, I could kind of envision that, because Fanzone's profile is kind of similar to Marv's a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Get a little tape character over the nose.
Yeah. Very similar. I could see that. I could very much see that.
Love it.
So regardless, though, before we get to the bad place, we start in the good place where we are on Earth. It's a sunny day, not unlike here in the Pacific Northwest. It's very sunny and nice. But Ratchet he has the award for puttering and muttering.
Purge plasma manifolds bidirectionally for optimum thermal transfer.
He's really putters and murmurs here.
If we're giving a putters and murmurs score, it's high. It's very high.
Yes.
The new lights and sirens for season 3.
So he's poring over Bulkhead's notes and just trying to figure out how to get the space bridge going. And really, he's trying to see if he can home in on Omega Supreme's signal, because that's the thing that Bulkhead was able to do in the previous episode. It's like he was able to detect Swindle's personal space bridge thing. So why can't we lock onto Omega the same way, who is still actively transwarping throughout the universe, presumably to the Autobots. But he's run into a challenge. He's run into a roadblock. Bulkhead has terrible handwriting, apparently. Who knew?
This is not unsurprising, right? He's a big guy. There's not a lot of writing utensils that fit his like 3-claw shovel hands.
Yeah,
I get it.
He even says something about, he's like, oh well, these claws weren't made for good botmanship or pen bot ship or something like that. Is right. A weird portmanteau there, but yeah, it's interesting, and I saw this in the trivia section. If you look at the notes, they all say the same thing.
How does a bot who can't tell his exhaust port from his servo joint understand all this?
He's just like written the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like no difference in the glyphs or whatever.
Oh, sure. Oh,
so that adds another level of intricacy to Bulkhead's writing. Maybe he's like, all work and no play make Bulkhead a dull boy.
You guys can probably answer this in about 2 seconds. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but is there a good reason why Ratchet's working on this project in general? Like, did I miss something? Why, other than it's just fun to get him and Fanzone together? What's his relation to this?
I know at the end of Transwarped, actually, the third part of Transwarped, when he kind of gets his medical skills back and proves himself.
His groove, if you will.
Bulkhead goes to him and taps him on the shoulder and is like, we're probably going to need some of that expertise on the space bridge.
Perfect.
And so I'm wondering, just in Bulkhead's absence, if Ratchet's kind of almost like an assistant in that portion of just knowing some mechanical know-how, not necessarily space bridges, but, maybe some Cybertronian tech that might be a little related to their biology or anatomy, I should say.
Sure.
But yeah, as you said, that I think the one time is kind of at the end of Trent's work, where it just kind of hinted that his skills could be used.
Sure. But where's Bulkhead? Where's Bulkhead?
I think this is just the economy of voice talent. I think it's like, because again, who knows how this, I mean, because Corey Burton is half the cast. So like, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, do we need to bring in Bill Fagerbach to be Bulkhead in this, or can we ride around it? That kind of thing. Because like there's also some weird incongruities in that, like, this is the only episode of TFA where Optimus Prime does not appear. It's only one. But there's other members of the cast missing also, so there's no Bumblebee. And, so which also means, and you start thinking about it from the real world perspective of like who voices who. So it makes sense that Ratchet is here because Shockwave is here, because that's all Corey Burton. Now, you could argue that you could put Prowl in here because you have Jeff Glenn Bennett as Fanzone, because it's the same voice actor, but there's nothing for David Kaye to do. So you don't have Optimus, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And again, with the production of season 3, who knows? The thing that like I've been reluctant to talk about this whole time is like, for as good as season 3 is, it is definitely rushed, and you can feel it. And you can feel it in episodes like this, like we're really trying to get a whole lot done in a very short amount of time. And I think it accomplishes it. It's like that. I am in constant awe of the amount of story that these episodes can tell in a very short runtime. Like, you can cram a lot into these 23 minutes, but as we've been on this journey for season 3 so far, there are only so many 23-minute boxes. And like, there's a lot of A plot to go through. And as I said before, like, unfortunately, the season as a whole feels rushed. Now, let me ask the serial rewatcher. Like, we talked about this in our previous episode, Michael Andrews. We kind of talked about your habits. So I'm not asking the same question twice, but like, does season 3 feel as rushed to you as it does to me on a serial rewatch?
On this particular rewatch, yes, it does. But I don't think it feels rushed in the sense of like, we're kind of doing this real dirty and sloppy and just get it all out there. It just feels like, I think I do. Maybe this is where we differ a little bit, but I do feel like people knew that it was coming to a head. They knew they were writing towards an ending. They knew there might not be a shot at season 4, and they were really trying to put a cap on this stuff. But it doesn't feel like, halfway through shooting the show or drawing the show or whatever, however you want to say it, that they were like, oh, we need to cram some more, storylines into these episodes. I still feel like it was like carefully plotted. And I just have to say, especially coming from us two mics, kudos to anyone that can deliver their message in 23 minutes or less, because we are not capable of doing that.
No, you and Jason are. You're like,
I guess we did.
Fugitive Wasp. He's a great figure. Go buy him. He's green.
Right.
That kind of thing. But yeah, no, I think you're right, and it is certainly concise. I think what it boils down to is like, we've recorded season 3 here at maybe like a faster clip because there are fewer episodes. So I think it's like a real world thing. Like, it's like, we did the Christmas episode in December for Christmas time, and then started by February, and it's already May, and it's like, that's it. It's over. Okay. Because like, the previous 2 seasons had a couple more episodes to them also. So for us in real world time, that's like up to a month of actual time that's passed. So I think that's what's kind of brushing up against my sensibilities. There's just less of it. And I am having some of that FOMO regret because I want more of it, because it's good. And I know that there's more story to be told. So I think maybe I'm not articulating my feelings accurately. I'm calling it rushed, but you're right. It's brief. Maybe brief might be a better description than rushed. But it does feel like there's a certain breakneck pace to it as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I'll agree to that for sure. I just think, for me, when rushed hit my ears, the connotation was we didn't plan for this, or we just had to throw some stuff together, or we had to cut out a whole episode and jam 2 together. It doesn't feel like that per se. It does feel like they're just doing a lot with a little time.
Gotcha. I agree. And asked and answered. Excellent. That's why you're the writer and the serial rewatcher. I love it. Perfect. Literally guiding me in the darkness.
Yeah. And just a quick aside as we get through this, since we're talking about kind of Ratchet standing in for Bulkhead here and all that. As of this recording just yesterday, and heads up, I'm going to be sneaking in a little fan art here as we go along with the plot. But I just wanted to show off these because I just got them in the mail. These are from a friend of the show, I believe, Smoktopus.
Yes.
We got the little ice cream bar. They do the line of like ice cream bar characters, like some are melty and they're on the popsicle stick. So I did get Ratchet and Bulkhead from their store. I'm pretty psyched. I've been waiting for these to go up, and the real genius of the Ratchet one is there's a little bite out of his horn. Instead of the chipped horn, it's an actual bite taken out of the ice cream bar. Love it. Had to have it.
That's brilliant. Patters is awesome. Their art is so fun. I was able to commission them a couple years ago. Last time I went to TFCon LA, so I don't have an acrylic charm, but I have hand painted Soundwave popsicle.
Oh, awesome!
And it's pretty cool. It's very cool, but I'm super
psyched. They included a bunch of little goodies with that. They hand drawn Bulkhead on the thank you note that's in there, and plug your ears, Mike. But Transformers Prime, we got. They gave me a couple extra stickers of Dreadwing and Skyquake, the brothers from TF Prime. So pretty psyched. Love free stuff. So.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Patters. Thank you, Smoktopus.
Yeah. Their shop may still be open by the time this episode publishes. If that's the case, I'll throw a link in the show notes, because like with a lot of fan artists, independent fan artists, they basically like open their shop until like stuff sells and then they close it, or they'll close it around convention season. So it's not always open all the time. So, but yeah, I'll definitely link their stuff because I too am a huge fan as well, and I hope that like when Popsicle season comes back around again, that they end up doing Wasp. Like they've already done Waspinator as a villain Popsicle, but like I think doing like actual Wasp, I think would be a lot of fun. Just with them colors, like the green and the magenta eyes and stuff. I think that would look really cool as a melty Popsicle.
For sure. Yeah, I just as a side, I'm fascinated by the ones they choose to make melty and not. Like Prowl's one of the melty ones, and I feel like I'm reading into that a little bit, but I don't know. I'm just like trying to go into the psychology of which ones they made melty. I love that.
Nice. So we catch back up with Ratchet. He's still grumping about the notes. Just then, on the scene, riding an elevator up to Sumdac Tower, is our dude Captain Fanzone, and he is on the phone with tech support as he is going up, and it's not exactly clear why he's on the phone right away. It becomes very clear very quickly, but I think this was kind of a fun reintroduction to Fanzone, because we haven't seen him much like any of the human characters. You know, my milk carton campaign still is unsuccessful for where the human supervillains have went. Where is the society when we need them?
Where's his wife, for that matter?
Yeah. But yeah, so Fanzone is having this this conversation with tech support.
No, I don't want to speak to your supervisor. I'm going straight to your CEO. That's right, Isaac Sumdac.
It's clear that he wants an audience with Isaac Sumdac himself. That's part of the reason why he's come to the tower. But like you get a terrific line from Fanzone here as he is blown off from this phone call. He says,
"The only thing I hate more than machines is tech support."
M pause for emphasis for machines. I thought was pretty classic there.
Great.
Yeah, he's looking real Hollywood as he comes up that elevator too. He's got the cell phone, just looking real cool.
Like his other quote of "It's called tech support, not tech excuses."
Oh yes,
that one too.
I love that.
I feel like maybe like Rob Hoji just had like a rough day with tech support, like right before he wrote this episode, because he's taking some digs in here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we come to find out that Fanzone has come to look for Isaac Sumdac, and it's because of these police drones that have completely run amok. And they've, I think the implication is that maybe these drones have been following Fanzone. I don't really know, but like when he encounters them at the top of the tower, they're like, "Hey man, like it gets real RoboCop here. It's, I mean, we've talked about the RoboCop connections between TFA and because obviously it's in Detroit, it's in the future. So yeah, it stands to reason that this is kind of 1-to-1, but like even like the cadence and word choice that this police drone tells him when he's saying he's like in violation of, statute, whatever, and that
lethal force has been authorized.
Before opening fire on poor Fanzone, it's like, the obviously the writer and the production team knew exactly what they were going for here.
Yeah. Along with that, it's like I don't think we've ever seen these police drones doing what they're programmed to do. Like they're always just in some state of like broken down, acting up, disarray. Yeah, it's rough.
But there's this one moment where like the thing says it's like,
"Halt, you're in violation of Criminal Code 30114.
And like right before, because I think it cuts to a commercial break or something. I don't know, but like Fanzone freezes and he gets like the jittery anime eyes. It's like all glistening and jittery and stuff. But then he evades the gunfire.
Yeah, so here's where my like conspiracy headcanon comes in. I don't think there was anyone on that phone. I think Fanzone committed a crime and was actually a fugitive from his own police department. And he knew that there was a portal up here and he was coming up to get help from the Autobots. And then when the opportunity to go to Cybertron escape came up, perfect. Kismet. Let's Kismet there for Fanzone.
You've been reading too much Sin City. Fanzone's not a dirty cop. Come on, man.
He's dirty. He ain't clean. And he's going to Cybertron.
All right.
I do wonder if that violation is meant to be lethal force, if that's the issue. And if it is supposed to be lethal force, what is the violation that's coded for?
Yeah, really.
That was a little intense starting off.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing. What could possibly be the offense for criminal code checks notes 30114? I don't know, man.
Killing your own wife, which we know Fanzone maybe potentially did.
Oh, they caught up to him.
There it is. It's right there, you guys.
Which in our fan and headcanon here was some kind of like Sumdac Systems drone tragic accident type of thing. There was some kind of like drone related mayhem. Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
And that's why he wanted to find Isaac Sumdac specifically so that he could get their story straight.
Yes. Thank you. So it's not so crazy now, is it? Huh? All right.
No, it's insane. It's
okay. All right. That's
it's
fair.
bug nuts crazy, but still, I will gladly take the journey here. But that's but Ratchet, as I mentioned before, he's less than sympathetic here. He's like, as Fanzone is actively evading gunfire, like doing like these like James Bond barrel rolls. Like I would imagine in the TFA video game, you have to use like the shoulder buttons to like strafe and barrel roll like around the corner from like these obstacles. But Ratchet just has no chill. He's like,
Think you got it bad? I gotta decipher Bulkhead's handwriting. And those claws of his aren't exactly designed for penbotship.
Yeah, awesome.
But like there's also this part where like the drones kind of like are about to, they've got Fanzone cornered and they're about to finish him off. And it's like, it's like halt in the name of the police or something like that. And he pulls out his Captain Fanzone badge and he's like, bitch, I am the police. Which a lot of the themes that we've discussed in recent episodes have to do with authoritarianism. And I don't know what the satire that we're putting out here of like basically like the automated police is turning on the actual police. I'm sure that's trying to say something. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
I am the police!
I hate to say this, but maybe the thing that he's calling tech support about is that he thinks it's a problem that the drones are like threatening lethal force before just using it.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Like that's the problem.
Yeah. These aren't lethal enough.
Yeah, these aren't doing what cops do. We need to fix hot water.
Yeah, I love it.
Abbey's gone. She left the show. That's the end. So wrap it up. Let's do the score.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Come to Sidefest on Saturday, July 12th. So as Fanzone is dodging the gunfire and Ratchet is oblivious, he's going through the notes, and then that's when the space bridge seemingly suddenly activates. Having located Omega Supreme's transwarp signature, and Ratchet is kind of like,
well, look at that. Bulkhead's hunk of junk actually did find him.
I don't know if he knows if he's done anything. And really, in a sense, I kind of don't know what's happened. Like, did Ratchet like press some buttons or something like that? Like here goes anything and it just happens to work? Or is it like, did Bulkhead set a Google alert? Like anytime Omega's transwarp activates to lock onto it, it's unclear how this happens. But regardless, the space bridge opens.
Yeah, at least like enough. Like it's kind of implied that it's not functioning properly, or like it's not the typical space bridge operation, right? Like it's sort of this weird kind of small portal version of it. Yeah, I'm not sure what the implication is there completely, but it's not the full space bridge technology is what I took away. Gotcha.
Kind of a broke down space bridge type of thing. Half a space bridge, that kind of thing. But regardless, this is this suddenly becomes the end of the Monster Squad, and everything is just kind of getting sucked up into the portal, including poor Captain Fanzone. It's like, and it's kind of a tough moment because like Fanzone is seen running towards Ratchet, and then gets sucked up.
Oh, he's running towards the portal. That's interesting.
I see.
I'm gonna get this conspiracy to stick. You just wait.
He's like, take me now. Me now.
If I can just get across state lines, they're out of the jurisdiction.
Yeah, it's like, and no extradition on Cybertron. I'm going to be having some space Mai Tais collected 20% on Cybertron. No extradition, you see.
It's perfect. Writes itself.
Thank you. But Ratchet, see, now I'm slowly becoming Team Michael Andrews, because like Ratchet, like seeing that this is happening, and as Fanzone escapes into the portal, we'll call it that now for your benefit, of course.
Thank you.
But Ratchet remarks and says,
okay, that's probably not good.
I thought it was because the good captain was in peril. No, I think because Ratchet has a strong moral code and a thirst for justice. He's like, oh no, you're not getting away with this one, Fanzone.
Yes,
he becomes a bail bondsman or something like that. He's a fugitive recovery agent, that kind of thing. So
I will also enter this exhibit into the court. Where is the last place you would look for Fanzone if he was on the run? A planet of machines.
There it is.
Come on.
That's so fair.
I also want to note this this bitchin' move that Ratchet does when he like magnets these drones. He's like freaking like Wolverine. He's like, he like crosses his arms and like magnets them. That's pretty cool. Pretty badass.
Snoring. What he's doing is imitating Wolverine's berserker attack with his adamantium claws.
a lot of use of Ratchet's magnet powers, probably more so than we've ever seen. Like, and I appreciate that it's depicted as being used both offensively and defensively at the same time. Like, there's times where he's like, levitating and floating, but then other times where he's using it as weapons as well. So really, really cool exhibition of Ratchet's magnet powers here.
Yeah, I'll agree. More than any episode, like it was really well used.
Yeah, good stuff. Here we are, friends. Captain Fanzone finds himself unceremoniously dumped into the middle of a large city on Cybertron, densely populated, obviously, densely populated with a variety of cameos, a situation that Fanzone is obviously less than thrilled with for Fanzone. There's a caption in the TF Wiki that says, "This is what hell looks like to Captain Fanzone." And could you imagine that? It's just, again, a landscape of unending robots, just robots as far as the eye could see in either direction. Like, yeah, what else would hell be like for the good captain here?
Yeah, sure. If he didn't want to go there, but yeah, that's fine. All right.
Damn it. So this group of Autobots, and it takes them a quarter second to clock what's going on, but these Autobots freak the hell out at the presence of a horrifyingly disgusting organic life form.
It's organic!
He is nearly stepped on, first accidentally, nearly stepped on by the immense, overpowering Grandis, who we've seen before. We've seen Grandis in vehicle mode, in platform mode, because he's basically, they're riding on top of vehicle mode Grandis Sentinel with the chained up Decepticons through the parade. So that's kind of where that connects there. But this, of all these cameos, I don't know if Derek J. Wyatt has a soft spot for Grandis or something, but again, you see all these weird ass Return of Convoy characters. You got Sky Gary in the World of Tomorrow, my favorite, as well as there's would you say, Michael Andrews? There's a Star Upper, some nonsense.
Yeah, Star Upper, Star Downer.
Those aren't real people.
This is why in our last episode, we a lot of these same characters appeared in that parade scene. So a lot of the continuity of these cameos is stretched across these two episodes. So I wanted to wait and do a little bit of it now.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do some of that in a hot second. I do want to talk about Grandis in particular, because his character design is oh shoot, I didn't look to see who the voice actor is for Grandis here, but
do you want to guess?
Let me see. Well, I Corey Burton.
Oh,
Abby's got it.
Yes, I do.
It's actually.
Do you want to spoil it?
Yeah, the voice, I will spoil it for Mike. The voices of Grandis is actually Jeff Glenn Bennett.
There we go. Well, I was going to say it has to be somebody who's already here. But yeah, this vocal performance is it's something. It's I don't know exactly what he's trying to do, but it's something with the voice and also the character design. He's got gaps in his teeth. I don't know if he's meant to be hillbilly adjacent or bumpkin adjacent, or I'm not exactly sure what they're going for with Grandis here.
Well, but just a quick interject, there is actually an answer to this, and you might be surprised, Mike. Confirmed by Derek J. Wyatt on his Twitter in May of 2009. Grandis is supposed to sound like Paul Lynde, kind of famous actor Paul Lynde. We might know him from Hollywood Squares. Was his biggest later life role, but Paul Lynde? No? Abby, I wouldn't expect you to know who Paul Lynde is necessarily, but Yeah.
He was in some Hanna-Barbera stuff, so I've heard his voice.
In a moment, Penelope Pitstop, you'll be a has-been heroine.
Yes, very like famous voice.
I have to take Paul in on one.
All righty. According to the Constitution, Bill, what's the proper term for our form of government?
At the moment, shaky. Or will you accept?
And he's got the same kind of teeth. Yeah. He's got like big teeth with like a gap. So I'm glad we sorted that out in real time.
Yes. And just to in the same tweet from Derek J. Wyatt, Trax, who we meet later on, is supposed to sound like Thurston Howell III,
of course,
from Gilligan's Island.
Absolutely. This time voiced by Corey Burton instead of Michael McConaughey.
Correct.
Who is his voice actor in G1.
I'd rather stay in my stunning auto mode.
Okay.
Speaking of Grandis, one of the things that I didn't notice on my first time, but I noticed on my second time watching through, he's got like all these like radar dishes like on his shoulders, and they're constantly like spinning and stuff. What I didn't realize or didn't pay attention to is apparently that's a feature of his original toy, the Return of Convoy toy. In fact, I've got I'm going to share my screen with y'all, and we're going to take a look at this is a commercial.
Transformer, robot base, Flanders 登場。マイクロトレーラー合体。宇宙の果てからコンボイを探せ。Transformer, robot base, Flanders.
But like, as you can see, the toy, it's a brick. It's literally a brick. Yeah. And I was chatting with Anthony Brucali, TFU.info, and basically what he was telling me is basically these Return of Convoy figures are they're basically bases for Micromasters. So like that's what the play pattern is with like this version of toys. But as you can see in the commercial, like there's some kind of like motorization or something for the satellite dishes to be spinning. So it's when Grandis is in the episode, you know, kind of freaking out about the organic, that and his satellite dishes start spinning.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's a callback to a specific feature on the toy. That's why it has so much emphasis on it. Like, because I was puzzled. I'm like, why is that shown as, you know, something that he's being so expressive about? But yeah, so that's so I think like of this is probably like the largest, both figuratively and literally, of the cameos. But I guess from here, I don't know how much we want to talk about with regards to this entire scene, because there's an entire page on the wiki of like all of these different cameos. It's basically like it's a variety of different recolors. Most of them are Cybertronian bumblebees. And the majority of them are from like actual like foreign recolors, like from like South America, you know, Brazil, Mexico, things like that. So like there's a whole host of bizarre recolors, and I think that's what a lot of these characters are in reference to. But
these are some deep cuts, even probably deeper than us character wise. So. They look cool though. I think one of my favorite things that comes out of this show is the Cybertronian bumblebee kind of design and mold. So to see them in multiple colors, I'm pretty psyched about that. Farao, I notably talked about that the last episode, which is the Portuguese word for ferret. And that was one of the characters. It's kind of like an off yellow bumblebee. You guys have any favorite color combos? I guess I'm literally asking your favorite color right now, but which bumblebee would you pick if you had to pick one?
I don't know. I like glyph in here, kind of the yellow and teal.
Oh yeah.
God dang it. Abbey took the one I was going to say. I was also going to say, one, I like the colors. I like the teal and gray with like the trim of gold, but also she's cute. You know, that like being female sets her apart, very similar to how Slipstream stands apart from the Starscream clones. So I'm cool for like a femme variant of a male mold. That's kind of cool. But yeah, so in this group, you also have Bumper, who's kind of a dumpy, not cliff jumper, not Bumblebee type of bumble jumper type of guy. You've got Sedan, the white kind of black and silver type of one. He kind of looks kind of like an auto trooper, actually, like kind of like in both style and
I also like that one too, actually. I think that might be my favorite pick.
And then also you've got Carrera, who is more cliff jumper than Bumblebee. He's kind of more like a pale blue gray type of guy. But of the not Cybertronian Bumblebees, you've got Zauer, who is some dinosaur robot, which kind of threw me the hell off. Like, you know, I thought that the Earthbound Dinobots were the only dinosaur Autobots, but apparently there's just a whole Brontosaurus just hanging out, and Steeljaw, of course, one of Blaster's cassettes. Like you see him pretty prominently enough. Let me see. Like I thought there was like a whole list here. Let's see. You got Freeway, Carrera, Huffer, the Mario looking dude, Stan, Glyph, Bumper, Tap Out, Power Glide walks by. He doesn't speak, but he kind of like walks by shortly after Fanzone transwarps in. Flare Up, who is the bot who is talking to Grandis. She's the one who is like, yeah, step on him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
which is a great moment I had written down in my notes. I was pretty psyched about that little moment.
Yeah.
What a day for Fanzone.
Well, and Flare Up looks super cool too. Like she's obviously some kind of like motorcycle bot, but she's got like exaggerated like exhaust pipes on her wrists that kind of look like machine guns. It's a very cool character design, and the TF Wiki entry seems to be disproportionately hung up on her high heels. But yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, kind of Windblade looking actually.
And actually kind of has like the flared pants. Like I wonder if that was like a call, going with the name Flare Up. Like I wonder if that was a design choice.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she's kind of got bell bottoms to go with the high heels there.
That's hilarious.
Very, very cool design. You got
Susan Blue, by the way. I'm just finding out voiced that character, that little step on it moment. That's really cool.
Nice. Well, and again, I don't want to relitigate my frustration with female representation in Transformers Animated, but if there's a female character, you're going to flip a coin who she's going to be voiced by, and since spoiler alert, you get RC, you may as well have Sue voice another character while she's there in the booth. Again, just thinking about the economics of it. I don't hate it. It's a cool performance. It's fun. Like it's kind of nice to kind of hear like a little more nasty, vindictive thing, because the RC voice is very warm and compassionate and friendly.
Yeah,
it's
an opposites for sure.
So it's kind of cool. It's got to be fun for Sue there to kind of do that.
Ooh, step on it.
But I think that's we get an auto trooper later, but we'll talk about that in just a second there. But I think that is the extent of the cameos, but it's a lot. It is a real Katina bar scene here. You could practically hear it's just all of these foreign weirdos kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely go to TF Wiki if you want the full list. But I think we've definitely litigated it here. What we want to mention.
Absolutely, and what a bummer that there's been no toy of Cybertronian Bumblebee, like with like the rounded shoulders, and you could get at least 2 easy repaints. You could do Bumblebee and Wasp. You could also do Cliff Jumper, and you could do all of these knuckleheads.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, Mike, when you were showing off your Legacy Bumblebee, I was even asking, like, do you think there's any chance that the mold on it could kind of be converted to a Cybertronian mode? See that episode if you want the answer. But now that I have one in hand, I'm wondering. I don't know. I guess it's possible.
I guess it's possible, but you would have to really the main trait that you would have to remold is the shoulders. That's the difference between Earth mode and Cybertronian mode is the pronounced
pauldrons. Yeah.
Pauldrons. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah. Shoulder pads, that kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas Earth mode is more straight up and down with the tires on it. But really, I mean, like, you know, the other stuff is pretty basic. Like you could do different heads and things like that. But do we ever see either Bumblebee or Wasp in their Cybertronian vehicle mode? I was trying to remember that, and I don't remember if we did.
When they do the push-ups, right? Are there push-ups in Auto Boot Camp?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yes. Okay. I feel like I've seen that design so ubiquitously. I mean, it's one of the earliest, designs for this show that I can't remember like what's from the show and what isn't. But yeah, you're absolutely right. During the transform ups or transformies debate of last year, during that scene for sure.
So either way, Fanzone is rescued by Ratchet, who comes in very timely through the space bridge. Magnus Grandis in a way that he isn't able to step on the good captain.
Oh, he touched it.
Fanzone wants to return home immediately, but man, Ratchet thinks it's great.
I can't believe we're on Cybertron. Of all the places we transwarp, this is great.
And to hear Ratchet be happy about something is really something. This
oh my gosh, yeah,
delivery here,
like a minute of elation. That was must have been the voice acting challenge of the century there to try to bring some joy to this character.
Because it's going to be like, okay, now Corey, you're still Ratchet. You're still in the core of your spark. You are an unrepentant grump, but you know what? You're kind of happy here. You're happy to be home.
Corey, can you tap into something from a childhood memory, like something you really loved? Can you dig deep and find something you enjoyed?
But you're also a grump.
Right.
But this line delivery is pretty cool here, where he's just like, oh yeah, it's great. And while they can't find Omega right away, like Ratchet has like this little handheld Palm Pilot scanner doohickey, like he's trying to find like the transwarp energy signature, but he's like, you know what? Oh, this search is going nowhere. Let's go have a drink.
Yeah.
Gives up pretty quick, actually. I can relate and just be like, let's go to the bar.
Immediately, like if I'm Fanzone, it's like, hey, did you even turn that thing on? It's in sleep mode. You got to turn it on first. Yeah, that kind of thing.
I just like how he is like, well, we should do a more thorough check, but let's make a little pit stop real quick because they're supposed to be on duty. He's supposed to be working, basically. He's like, no, let's take 30-minute break.
Yep. That does not fly with Fanzone, I imagine, who must be all business all the time on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, because like for his lunch breaks, he'll clock in and out for lunch, but he'll sit in his dirty yellow car and like eat his burger bot, that type of stuff. He'll go through the drive-through for the burger bot and like throw all the empty wrappers in the back. But like, yeah, he's not hitting the pub while on duty.
Right.
No, sir.
Right, and actually they don't because McAdams is closed for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And I have to laugh here because of all the note-taking I've done for this show, this particular one was the most stream of conscious. Like, I didn't pause the episode once. I just freeform typing, and I wrote, "It's closed. Why the fuck for?" exclamation point. I was feeling Ratchet's pain in that moment, channeling it through the keyboard.
Well, before we get into the why of why it's closed, because I get the feeling we're going to spend an extensive amount of time on this next bit coming up here. But like, again, first time watcher, and I don't know what's canon and what isn't, but I got a jolt when Ratchet mentioned his favorite greasy valve.
McAdams' old oil house.
Like I don't know at what point that. I mean, obviously it's canon now. Like, there's toys of McAdam, aka Alchemist Prime, that kind of thing. Like it's like it was a thing from like the comic books, like the old comic books. So like so to hear it here in a cartoon in canon, got me to jump a little bit. I was like, oh, that is so cool, because obviously it's a place of note in IDW 1. It's Blur is now the proprietor of McAdams, and yeah, so it was really cool to hear that here, and that will definitely go into my G1 score. But yeah, just these little bits of tiny lore that they throw in at a time where we've had enough cameos where that would easily be a perfect 10 on my G1 scale. You have a reference like this to McAdams, but like we're saying, to his dismay, his favorite watering hole has been shut down, along with other quote unquote subversive gathering places by order of Sentinel Prime himself.
Yeah, well worded there. Who do you have working on that propaganda poster?
Subversive gathering places. So no dancing for sure.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm nothing but subversive when I go to bars, so it's I guess it makes sense.
So Michael Andrews is very much in the Ratchet role here. He's like, what?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Switches real fast from reminiscing to being angry again.
Yeah. I could definitely see where Ratchet is coming from here, but
represents a simpler time. Obviously, you got a lot of joy from just even the thought of it. There is just something sad when you run into like a relic of there's that moment when you realize stuff from your past isn't going to be around forever, or your childhood favorite restaurant or something you used to love, it isn't going to be there forever. It's impossible to, unless your favorite thing's McDonald's, I guess you're safe for probably your lifetime. But I can feel that. Abby, I don't know if you felt that, in your relatively younger life than the rest of us. I guess we all am become Ratchet at some point.
Yeah, I kind of get it. I lived in a smaller town and we didn't have like a ton, but their businesses. And as I moved out and came back, they had put up like a Starbucks.
Man.
Which makes it really hard for any like coffee or like someone's own business of coffee to exist there. So all of those shut down. So I was kind of like, well,
aren't you guys supposed to love Starbucks out there? Don't you worship them on Sundays or something?
No, friend.
Oh, no, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not unfortunately. But yeah, it was kind of awkward because I was like, one of the places I used to work before I went to college actually was one of those places that shut down. I was like,
oh no.
Yeah, and it's times changing, but also I was like, okay, well now it's going to be really hard for anyone to make their business here.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have so I felt a little bit of that.
But to bring it back to the show, this is not happening to Ratchet. It's not that McAdams has franchised out and there's a bunch of them on every corner. The one and only McAdams is closed.
And just then he finds out immediately why. And this, I was kind of getting some Transformers 1 vibes here. Like where like there's like the giant view screen that's just playing in like the town square at all times. This propaganda video must just be on loop, or I don't know, man. I don't know if like what Ratchet like reading the sign like triggered it. Like I don't know why the video plays at this particular time, but regardless, this thing plays in the town square, and it is upsetting. Like, and I can't help but think of how TFA starts. Let's go back to season 1, episode 1, moment 1. Literally the first frame of animation you see is a very G1 style Autobot symbol, and it's this grainy propaganda video about how the Autobots have won the war and all of this. It's a cool inversion and weaponization of G1 sensibilities, but like here, this is profoundly ugly in that like it is literally not only is it a propaganda video, but it's like this weird campaign video also. Like Sentinel, I have the text here. I'm just going to read it, but like he says, as he's doing like he's about to do the dab, that kind of thing. He's like, reaching for the stars or whatever. He's like, I give my heart to you, heart to you. But he says like a citizen.
Yeah, it's the Cybertronian salute. Like, how did we not know it? Right?
Yeah, how would you not know it? Are you ignorant or something? It's
yeah.
Decepticons are in our midst. Neighbors, friends, even your own model can be a spy!
Exclamation point. And I think this is intercut with like a kind of like it's some are like actual Decepticons, because it's like he must have taken footage from Transformers Animated, the show, because there's like headshots of like, Shockwave and Starscream and Megatron and all that. But there's also like this like reenactment of like what I consider to be like paid actors that are dressed up like Decepticons for like these auto troopers to like round up and stuff. He says like, do your duty and report any suspicious activity to the elite guard immediately. And Ratchet is just like, the fuck is this? So like, both Ratchet and Fanzone are just like beside themselves. But it continues. It says,
for your protection, all potentially subversive gathering places remain closed. Curfew remains in effect.
Remember, Decepticons will stop at nothing to destroy our way of life! Exclamation point. And I think that's where you get like the montage of like the faces of Megatron and whatnot. But this friends, like I had to stop for a sec. So like it's like Sentinel is like, don't let this happen to you. Smash cut to Ultra Magnus in pieces, convalescing on the bed there on spark support. That's like, could you imagine? Like, I mean, again, we talked about it on our last episode. It's like when the council decided to tell the public about Ultra Magnus's injuries and like comparing that to like a real world type of thing. Now imagine like, smash cut to your nation's leader, your country's leader, like in a hospital bed, all fucked up, saying like, don't let this happen to you. Disgusting. Just disgusting.
Yeah, that one hit, and I think it's important that they did that, but it also hit because, like, that's a very common thing. That's that moment when a campaign video goes too far, or they use an image from something kind of historical, or you just go, that's tasteless, or like we shouldn't be capitalizing on that. I kind of had flashbacks to being from Minnesota and Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Tim Walz. When they were campaigning against him, they were using footage of the riots and everything that came after the George Floyd incident, and kind of just saying like how Minneapolis has been taken over by crime, and this was the video they were using, and that just like really sat wrong with a lot of people, because you're taking something out of context, something that really had a lot of cultural and historical importance, and then kind of sort of watering it down a little bit and just being like, it's just bad here. This is why you should vote for the other guy.
Yeah. It's interesting. The fear mongering that we see in our reality reflected back through this propaganda video from Ultra Magnus. Like, I mean, again, we've talked very recently how TFA is kind of a response to the George W. Bush era and kind of like, the false pretenses to get into the Iraq War. And this is kind of the same thing. It's the fear mongering and, and the scare porn that's in here. Like, Sentinel continues and he's like,
as your Magnus, I will continue to defeat the Decepticon Scourge and bring peace and security to Cybertron.
The Decepticon Scourge, not to be confused with the Decepticon Scourge. He's not going to
play on words there.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool if like there's an intercut of like a TFA styled Scourge? Like any Scourge, whether he's G1 or RID 2001 or even Rise of the Beast, like give me like a montage of all these different Scourges. A Scourge of Scourge. What's a group of Scourges called? But he says to defeat the Decepticon Scourge and bring peace and security to Cybertron! Exclamation point. And of course, the capper.
I'm Sentinel Prime. and I approve of this message.
And he like does a dab. He literally does a dab. Just
so cool. Love that guy. So cool. 100%.
Oh, poor Michael Anders. I'm so sorry.
Well, and to take the metaphor just a little bit further, where this kind of scene really like made sense to me and resonated with me is like, even though Cybertron's like this big place, well, because it's such a big place, you get people really kind of believing that. To this day, there's people, if you tapped some people in rural Minnesota, they would tell you that Minneapolis is on fire, burning right now, present day. Not even a joke. They just even in Minnesota, there's so many rural pockets that they don't really have eyes on what's happening in Minneapolis. And I imagine this is similar to Cybertron, right? Like this is just it's an even bigger place, and there's these rural pockets, and they're like, oh well, got it. Magnus must be dead, and everything's bad. We need a new Magnus. Like they don't even technically need a new Magnus, really, if they knew the truth behind it.
Right, exactly. And it does kind of underscore like what is the hierarchy of power? Like who is vice president? Like, can Sentinel just serve as, as the I thought they had a term for it, but basically like the stand-in Magnus, and just basically like serve until Ultra Magnus is able to, unless Ultra Magnus is literally like medically unable to, like, is he in a coma? Is he completely unresponsive? We know he's on spark support, but like, to what extent are his injuries? It's like, will he never recover? That kind of thing. Because like, to answer your question, Michael Anders, it largely depends upon the extent of the injuries. If there's a prognosis where like Ultra Magnus will never recover, then that's when you start talking about needing a new Magnus, because you need somebody to head the government. Like you can't just have this Autobot council. You need some kind of figurehead president type of thing.
Yes, we need some kind of like Magnus pro tempore, if you will.
Ironically enough, that was the phrasing I was looking for. I couldn't remember what the name of it was. And I think that's the role that Sentinel is kind of fulfilling here. But yeah, you're right. It's like what's the rush? Unless, being devil's advocate, they are on wartime footing. Decepticons are running amok. Probably the pockets of insurgency are still continuing. To say nothing about like what's going on with the Space Bridge Nexus. Cybertron is kind of like, once they've decided to close off the Space Bridge Nexus, they've kind of like become isolationist. Like they've closed down Cybertron and are really like clamping down. It's a martial law type of situation, but they are at war. So it's easy to overlook that in the totalitarian commentary, but still you do need somebody to make decisions. Now, whether that person is supposed to be Sentinel, that's a different discussion. But still, you do need somebody.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that's really interesting about this is that for a lot of the time, again, a civilian on Cybertron would not know that Decepticons are a threat because of how hush-hush everyone was being about them being on Earth. And so you go from Decepticons don't even like exist anymore to, our Magnus just got wiped out by a Decepticon that was in our midst. I could see there being, again, like a lot of fear induced, and maybe that is kind of why Sentinel, who's able to make the tough decisions, bodes wildly for the Cybertronian population, even though we know him as a character of being maybe a little too far gone in that sense, or too aggressive in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it just kind of shows like how quickly these situations can come together. It's the perfect storm of mistakes on everyone's part. Just keeping it hush hush, and now we have this disaster, and then you have Sentinel capitalizing on it, and going from hesitant to wanting the position because it was taken, the opportunity was taken away from him. All of this has just culminated in this perfect storm where he can just slip in and make a title for himself.
Yeah. He's definitely seizing the opportunity here because, again, Sentinel is a ladder climber and he is an opportunist. But I do think, though, again, not that I want to defend Sentinel's behavior, but but he is a patriot, you know, and he does somewhere in there have the understanding that Cybertron does need to be defended, but he's going about it the wrong way, and he's just way too damn hawkish about it.
Yeah, you might say he's a true patriot of Cybertron.
Exactly. That's kind of where I'm going with that as well. But it could be two things also. Like it is the uglier part of it, but it's also though, and I did not have Mike Seibert siding with Sentinel Prime in any way on my 2025 bingo card, but like you do need somebody in that role who wants it. And again, I'm not saying that Sentinel is the right person, but there's no other character that we have come across that could fill those shoes. It's not Jazz. He doesn't want it, and he's too chill, you know.
Right, and even the High Council sort of just kind of lets it happen. They don't want it either, and they if anybody's going to stop them, it's the High Council, and they're just like, oh, okay,
yeah. And as we see throughout this entire episode, they're just kind of like, whatever. I mean, really, like, I don't know, Michael Anders. Now, at a time where Revenge of the Sith is back in theaters for the 20th anniversary, this kind of feels like the powerless Jedi Council kind of a bit. Like these knuckleheads, like Perceptor, Alpha Trion, and whoever else is on this council can't get anything done. Like they just. I mean, I don't know. You need a real Padme Amidala come in and say, like, you know, my people are suffering, dying while you endlessly debate in committee. But that is what Perceptor and Alpha Trion are doing. Like they just want to talk. Now, the solution isn't to fire on Omega Supreme, but you do need to have somebody who is ready to do that. It's weird. I even in real time having this discussion, I find myself kind of on a different side than I would have thought I would have going into it, because
we're really having a Civil War situation, because I'm over here like snapping my Sentinel Prime toy over my knee, and you're like kind of siding with them for once.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, the methods are terrible and ugly, and again, this propaganda campaign ad is disgusting. And going back to the beginning of the episode, like you could see that this is the effect that it's had on the population. Like all the stuff that we were talking about earlier with all the fear pimping and whatnot. It's like they've turned this population, they've made them scared.
Yeah. And to cap it off, I do want to say I see your point, and it's I think what we're trying to say here is, Sentinel Prime is doing all these horrible things and these curfews and all of this stuff, but it's not coming from like a true power grab. It's just like his mentor's on his deathbed and Decepticons are run amok, and he's walking back into this. He's trying to do well by his people, but it's being executed poorly.
Yes, exactly. I also want to note that that Ratchet during this video, because like he's making like snide commentary to Fanzone, Ratchet mentions that it was Lockdown who captured the Decepticons, we saw in 5 Servos. Like there's apparently there's a flashback to that in the propaganda video that makes it seem like Sentinel, again, he has captured that narrative, and much like Transformers 1 Sentinel, he's like, the truth is what I make it. So now history will remember that it was Sentinel who nabbed all those Decepticons. Not that he contracted with Lockdown, not that Prowl was the one who was able to get the cuffs on. It was Sentinel that did all of that. And even when like Cliffjumper protested, it was like that just kind of got swept under the rug. Now the story is Sentinel Prime : War Hero. That is 100% what we're doing. But
right, and this theme of misinformation of like, it was Prowl, it was Lockdown, it was Sentinel. Like they're purposely throwing out these different names to kind of build this world of like, well, no one really knows for sure. Someone's finally giving us a definitive answer.
Yeah, mistrust for sure. But we got to move on. So yes. here comes in another cameo directly responsive to that. Trax is on the scene.
It's organic.
With his hoity-toity.
It's organic, goddammit. I really felt like he was doing Cameron from Ferris Bueller, who probably was doing a Thurston Howell. But
pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Asshole!
That's where my mind went.
Exactly. Yeah. The degrees of separation there. I like the design here. He's got like these like little tiny reader glasses. I don't know if it's just to denote age or whatever, but I thought that was, I mean, it adds an extra level of snobbiness to him, but it was cool to see him actually have a line of dialogue here as opposed to just kind of being in the crowd like we saw in the last episode there.
I'm interested in, because right after he does the, ooh, it's organic, Ratchet kind of has like the, oh, what have they done to Cybertron? And I don't know if that was also a response, again, to the propaganda, right, but also to him. And I do kind of wonder if there's also been an installation of fear of organics that it's been pushed by Sentinel too. If there was maybe at one point they weren't so gross to people, because it just seems that Ratchet is kind of, again, commenting on part of what Trax said. And I was like, oh, was there like a time where organics weren't seen as like gross on Cybertron, or it wasn't as weird to see them? Like, that was just kind of an interesting clip away that I was...
Yeah, and well, that's where I think we kind of split from sort of like this ultra patriot Sentinel who's just blindly doing the right thing. He's also sneaking in his xenophobic agenda here. Like, I think that's where he is purposely being like, well, while I'm up here, while I have the soapbox, organics exist and they suck, you know. I think that's what we're seeing.
Well, and I'm glad we brought this up too, because that was something I wasn't sure of in my first time watching it, because like you see how the crowd responds to Captain Fanzone and you know, and Grandis and Flare Up and Step on It and all that, like, you know, not unlike how human children would with like an ant or something. Ooh, yeah, gross, step on it. You know, that kind of thing. Because also keeping in mind the span of Cybertronian life compared to human life, but that's not where I was going with that. When I first watched it, my thought was that it's not just Sentinel, that prejudice against organic life is something that permeates Cybertronian society, that they're all like that they all hate or are scared or hate or whatever of organics. But I think as we've discussed here now, it's more clear that this is the influence of Sentinel, not like a predisposed prejudice that the population had. This is learned behavior from Sentinel's time and influence as the stand-in Magnus.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to hit a little fast forward here, just so we can kind of catch up to where we properly are. This scene kind of unfolds here where, it goes right from the propaganda video to Sentinel appearing himself. He's got the twins and Jazz with him. It's kind of a nice transition here. It goes from like we're hearing his voice on the tape to like hearing his voice in real life. And there's also sort of like a scariness to it, right? Because like, you know, he's this big scary figure now, and now he's right behind you, like a bogeyman situation. But he's right back to his Sentinel shtick. Barely acknowledges that he's been working with Ratchet these last few months. Just Ratchet's broken all the rules. You know, the curfew, the space bridge, organics. Like you've checked every box in my book. Get him out of here. But actually, Sentinel, and you think that like, you know, they're just appearing to kind of bust him, but actually Sentinel and the gang are out there because they detected this transwarp energy, which they've been tracking. And this is where it gets into a little like sciencey stuff, a little more Star Trek-y. But apparently, I mean, it all comes to a head that this is it's Omega Supreme. They believe this is Omega Supreme. This is an indicator of his presence. Right.
So a couple things within that. Jazz recognizes Fanzone.
Hey, I think I know this guy.
Like, you know, he's just like, hey, wait a sec, you know, slow down a sec. I know this guy. But there's also this bit of dialogue here where Sentinel is saying that Fanzone has no rights on Cybertron. That is kind of like a weird callback in a way to stuff that Porter C. Powell has said about robots on Earth. Like way back in in Return of Headmaster, he was like, oh yeah, you know, alien robots have no rights on Earth, you know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of funny how like both are foreign visitors and they have no rights, you know, that kind of thing. That's a
nice poetic bookend, actually. Yeah.
And not at all reflective of our current reality at all.
No.
But you're right, Michael Andrews. Like when Ratchet is protesting against Sentinel, he's saying that like they didn't use the Space Bridge network. It's they kind of piggybacked off of Omega's transwarp signature, and Sentinel, well documented, well informed, well read. Sentinel Prime is well informed as always. Laughs off Ratchet.
Omega Supreme. Wasn't that oversized bot decommissioned and melted down for spare parts?
And it was the same thing he did with Yokitron. He's just like, oh, that old bag of bones, that guy's long dead.
Yeah. I don't know if this is like a trope or a joke or like Sentinel just assumes everyone else is like dead. Like once they're out of sight, they're out of mind. Like how can they possibly exist anymore? I don't know. But it's also a little scary here because now he's dealing out the misinformation. Like now we really kind of need him to be up to speed. But I thought that was interesting. This is one of the interesting things of this takeaway is, does he actually believe Omega's offline? Well,
Ratchet says something to the effect of like, well, that's the story they told you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where is it Sentinel being obtuse or was he lied to along with everybody else? Like what are the different points of information here? And again, we've had discussions about like what the timeline is. So it's interesting to know what Sentinel was doing during Project Omega, during the war, and what the immediate fallout of that was, and how informed he would be, that kind of thing. Because like even Optimus, when Omega Supreme is revealed to be the Autobot ship that they'd been flying on the whole time, it's a surprise to him. Like he didn't know that Omega Supreme was still around in any kind of way. So there's a version of this where Optimus and Sentinel, fresh from returning from the organic spider planet, they're just like, oh yeah, Omega Supreme got decommissioned and disassembled after decisively winning the war. I mean, that is a story, I suppose, that they could tell, the Autobot Council or whatever.
Unfortunately or fortunately, they don't really spend much time debating this because Omega Supreme himself appears in the skies above him. This felt really like Ghostbusters to me, as like they chose like Omega Supreme as the form of the Traveler here, and it's appearing with this red lightning above the city. Kind of wild, cool animation for sure.
Yeah, incredible visual gag too. It's like, oh yeah, Omega Supreme, blah blah blah. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
He's behind me, isn't he? Like that old show.
It's very much that. So Sentinel orders a full security lockdown. Fanzone laments that he's not going to be going home anytime soon. But meanwhile,
perfect.
High above the city, aboard Omega, Megatron is speechifying, soliloquying as usual.
At last, our ultimate goal is at our feet, and here we stand aboard its ultimate weapon.
So he's really excited for this master plan. And Starscream, this little shit, like, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if he could actually figure out how to use it? Just like, even as a disembodied head, he is just like a little prick to Megatron at all times. But he's right though. They don't know how to actually use the weapons. Lugnut comes in carrying this plasma dynamic thruster who we've seen before, and basically like Lugnut, I love this for Lugnut because he's got like a list. It's like he took notes and he's like,
the great and glorious Megatron will show the way. Thanks to his brilliance, we no longer transwarp at random. We can transform Omega Supreme to robot mode. And we have free access to and from the ship.
And we have control over everything. Yeah, except for the guns, but we're working on it. That's where Megatron comes in and says like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I know a guy. And as if on cue, like I think Shockwave is just like hanging out by his phone, waiting for that text, waiting for that call, because he's like, He's already like set up like his virtual background on Zoom. He's got his camera positioned just right, just to make sure that like he's perfectly framed. And yeah, he comes in and he's like,
The activation codes for Omega Supreme may still be accessible, my liege. I only need to get to them.
Starscream then comments and says that this plan is only going to work if they aren't shot out of the sky by the Autobot defense forces. But in another smash cut, I love this, how we, first it's like, oh, well, Omega Supreme doesn't even exist. There's Omega Supreme. Megatron says he's like, well.
No Autobot would be foolish enough to fire on their greatest weapon.
Smash cut to Sentinel. Let's blow this fucker out of the sky.
Yes, ultimate editing cut there. I absolutely love the joke.
So great.
I say we fire on Omega Supreme. If we strike now, we could end the Decepticon threat forever.
I love in the TF wiki, they have a little thing under that quote, and it says, even Megatron can't predict what goes in Sentinel Prime's head.
Oh, that's great.
So true. Yeah, it is a good bit, but Sentinel's kind of like the secret weapon against Megatron for all his plotting and planning. Like, is Sentinel the wild card that he's just like, shit, I didn't see that coming? He's like Malcolm Reynolds in Serenity, right? Like, he's just like, they're not going to see this coming.
Obviously, this doesn't go over well with Council, to say nothing about Ratchet, who is here as part of this. I don't know if they're guests or prisoners or whatever, but either way, Ratchet says that if they destroy Omega,
we could also end Cybertron. With as much transwarp energy as he's absorbed, blowing up Omega Supreme could take out the entire planet.
To which Sentinel, obviously not having that, I love this line. I love this line from him. He's like,
I brought you here to keep an optic on you, not for your opinion.
Yeah, great line. Stuff.
And I think it's kind of nice. Perceptor actually kind of defends Ratchet a little bit right after that.
Yeah.
Like, no, because Perceptor was at the war. He's like, no, he's a good asset. He has experience. He actually is qualified for input in this position.
Well, and Perceptor even says that Ratchet has more experience than even he does, as Perceptor himself. And he was there on the ground level of Project Omega. So that's, that definitely carries weight. But basically, they're kind of brushing Sentinel off. But Sentinel here, you can, it feels like, I don't know, it almost kind of feels like, in a weird kind of way, that Sentinel and Shockwave are kind of like on opposite poles, kind of having the same type of struggle. Back when Shockwave's long arm persona was starting to fray and he was about to get caught, that kind of thing. It's like he was really kind of starting to come loose a little bit. I feel like that's kind of the same thing that's happening with Sentinel here, because when he says, you
named me acting Magnus to make the tough decisions. Do you want to go down in history as the bots that let Megatron get away?
And then evokes the name of Ultra Magnus. Don't we owe this to poor Ultra Magnus? And it's again, more fear mongering from Sentinel here. He's using scare tactics and stuff, and it feels like he's starting to unravel. The walls are kind of closing in on this guy a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, groceries. That's such an old word, groceries. No one uses that anymore. It brings up something interesting because I'm trying to get in Sentinel's headspace here a little bit. And I like this idea that maybe he doesn't know about Project Omega or wasn't informed as much of it. But I also like to think maybe there's this world where he does know a little bit now, and he's sort of fuming over the idea that his mentor Ultra Magnus standing in a hallway with Ratchet talking about these secret clandestine Cybertronian war plans is just getting under his skin, and he's just so angry. And so I think this moment that we're talking about where Alpha Trion sort of defends Ratchet is really digging into Sentinel, because it's that's the one little piece that Ratchet's been privy to that he hasn't been, and that's probably just killing him.
Yeah. But with that though, it is interesting though that this refrain of making the tough decisions. And again, I've said this so many times already, but again, that's literally George W. Bush. It's saying anybody that is you're either with me or you're against me. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. And like, that's treason. Like, and we've seen this for the last half dozen episodes. Like, Sentinel is eager to lock up anybody that doesn't fall immediately in line with him. Like, look at his conversations with Jazz. It's like, no, you need to address me as sir or commander, or, I'll lock you up. Optimus, you need to call me sir or commander. That's treason. I'm going to lock you up. Like, he just wants to lock people up. And he thinks anybody that even mildly disagrees with him, not even like in a major way, just it's like, well, what do you want, pizza or hamburgers? Well, I was thinking I wanted chicken strips. That's treason. I'm gonna lock you up.
Yeah, right.
That kind of thing. But like, just like, so how like hair triggered this guy is. But basically, like, he's telling, he tells off Ratchet. He's like, man, it's treason. We're gonna, we need to lock you up. And he tells Jetfire and Jetstorm to lock these guys up. And I don't know if you folks caught this, but like, there's a still shot of Jetfire and Jetstorm, and the looks on their faces is very interesting. Jetfire looks reluctant. Like, he's kind of got like his smile is turned the other direction, and he's almost got like, slanted like concerned eyebrows. Jetstorm, on the other hand, one, because he's got a visor, you can't see his eyes, but he has a side smirk. So it's like it comes to nothing. This is the only instance of it, but I thought it was interesting in that one frame of animation that Jetfire doesn't look like he's on board with this. Like, he does so reluctantly. Again, it comes to nothing though.
Right. Well, I think you're onto something here, because I think the most important takeaway from it is what they have done so far is these are two characters that are always like in line, on the same page, always in agreement. So I think just that tiny little like smirk and eyebrow raise showing that they have different views on it is huge. They're supposed to be split from the same spark. Everything's, exactly supposed to be the same for them. They're having differing views, maybe the first time ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only differing views from Sentinel, but also differing views from each other. Like you were just saying, like that's accidentally huge. Like, yeah. I just wonder like the specific intent of that. But regardless, our heroes make a break for it. Captain Fanzone must have been, I wonder what the pollen count is on Cybertron, because like, I don't know if there's like a lot of grass pollen or, either way, Captain Fanzone's got the hay fever, and like he's going for a big one here.
This feels like a big one.
And like this, I don't know if I want to start a new segment called Snot Legislation, because goodness,
we do not need another liquid in this show, folks.
Oh, it's all fluid legislation.
All fluid legislation. We're back, baby.
That's disgusting. You're disgusting.
I'll take it.
But regardless, yeah. So Captain Fanzone goes for the sneeze. The snot is so gross. Ratchet magnets the two kids, and they run off. And it's interesting how, as the elite guard pursues the duo, but they lose them outside the Metroplex. And I want to stop here for a sec, because like it's name dropped that the Autobot Council's headquarters is specifically called the Metroplex, which I thought was pretty cool. I really like that.
That is cool.
Set up a perimeter around the Metroplex. No bot leaves this sector.
And then immediately from that, we continue name-dropping legislation. Sentinel orders Jazz to continue searching while he and the twins head to Fortress Maximus to prepare the defense cannons, as Sentinel intends to attack regardless of what the council's decision is. He tells the twins, he does some like military talk here. He's like, get ready a firing solution for Omega Supreme here. But I love the distinction here, because we've talked about, we've seen some of these Cybertronian buildings before, and we speculated that, that looks kind of like Metroplex. That might look like Fortress Maximus. It's cool to see that these are specifically name dropped here explicitly, so that I can count them in Mike's G1 score. You know, that
you can add them directly to your spreadsheet. I love it.
Absolutely. But like, I don't know. I think it's cool in ways that we don't always see, that city bots are actually like woven into like the landscape.
I do think it could have been like a cool animated twist to like Metroplex could have been like a mall or something, right? Like they just pan over. It's like, we're going to the Metroplex, and there's a bunch of like shopping people, kind of like the Lithonian scene in 86.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't do it ultimately, but I do think I could see a world where that was maybe thrown around the pitch room.
Yeah, and of course, playing over the mall's PA system is living that Metroplex life. That collab between Word Burglar and Cybertron Spree. That's a reference just for Matthew Barbario. He's as much a fan of the Spree as I am, and basically it's a nerd rapper Word Burglar teamed up with Cybertron Spree to do a song about living at Metroplex.
Living my best Metroplex life. If you need a place, well then the living's on me. Metroplex, I'm literally here on both knees.
That's pretty cool.
Oh wow, awesome!
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's neat. I'll drop a link in the show notes. But anyway, so from there, so Jazz, like he's detective adjacent here. Like again, he's got that connection with Fanzone, and he sees out of the corner of his eye a manhole cover. He's going looking for Ninja Turtles. But Ratchet and Fanzone, they are going through this this network of tunnels, and it's revealed that this network of tunnels has been sealed off for quite some time, and it runs through the city. It's kind of like ancient Cybertron there, and I love this whole dynamic where it's like, you know, you've got Captain Fanzone in the driver's seat, and you've got Ratchet in ambulance mode, and it's just kind of cool to see these characters who we haven't seen spend a lot of time together really get a lot of meaty moments where they're just like hanging out and just trying to like solve this problem. I thought it was really very cool.
And then, one part I liked about that interaction too was that Ratchet was like, "You didn't need to get involved back there, Captain, but I thank you." And I'm like, allergies are important here.
Yeah, it was a nice little moment there for sure.
Well, and we've talked about this before with regards to Corey Burton's vocal delivery, vocal performance of Ratchet. It's like, obviously it's grumpy forward, but he has these moments of tenderness and kindness and genuineness, authenticity. And like, so when he's talking to Fanzone and he thanks him, it's kind of like the way that he talks to Sari, where he's like, you know, I've really grown attached to this planet and its people. And you know what? I kind of like you, kid. I kind of don't want anything to happen to you. It's kind of that same thing. So it feels like Fanzone is kind of being taken under Ratchet's wing and his collection of human allies.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That note of tenderness is the same across those two moments. Really good catch there.
But we discover that turns out, nope, someone else has been living down here for some time, as we see, because like, again, the return of Detective Fanzone, because like throughout this whole thing, he is just puzzling through things, and he's like, he even like, you know, before they see like all the drums of oil, he's just like, hey, fresh tracks.
Yeah.
I also like, he sees this oil spill and he determines that it's fresh. I don't know why I will allow it in this case, but I won't allow it when some dude eats the ground and says that it's salt.
Salt.
That really gives me the shits. I really don't like that.
Well, I was just gonna say, memory check here. Does he like taste the oil, or does he just feel it? What's the moment?
He just feels, but like when I was watching, I had that moment, and I think my mind has been ruined due to you guys' liquid legislation.
Yeah.
He dips it, and I was like, no, don't lick it. And he doesn't.
It's like, don't do it.
Because even though we see the oil drums, we still don't know where that came from, right? Like, we did not know. It could be from a wound on someone's arm that won't close up. It could be from the latrines at auto boot camp. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah, with all these overturned drums, it could be both Shockwave's food supply and his bathroom.
What are you gonna do with the doo-doo?
Right.
Disgusting.
Like, do you want it to be warm? Is it cold? What's the sign that you found?
Well, how else would Captain Fanzone determine that it's that the trail is fresh? The oil's probably warm. Because, he picks it up and, he doesn't lick it. He might smell it, but he certainly kind of does the, liquid through the fingers type of thing to kind of check the viscosity.
And Ratchet's over there fresh scat. Like, deer sign.
Ew.
Yeah. Kind of the same thing. But yeah, so it is revealed that the occupant of the hideout, kind of living in this homeless encampment underneath Cybertron here, is none other than the notorious double agent Shockwave, who nearly gets a jump on them. If Shockwave was just a little better at his job, he'd be able to smash these fools, because he is armed with the Magnus hammer. He could just
hammer.
Where's your hammer? There it is.
Somewhere in his bed, Ironhide's shooting up awake in a cold sweat, like the hammer, because he feels it.
Hammer legislation calls to me. But this whole thing here where Ratchet and Fanzone are talking about we need to get word out. We need to figure out all of this. And Shockwave here, he just stepped out of 2001: A Space Odyssey. He's like,
I'm afraid I can't let you do that.
And two things with that. One, similar line delivery, similar dispassionate, detached voice, but also it goes without saying that he does have the one solid red unblinking eye. So, I mean, again, they know what they're doing here. This is a very specific reference to the supercomputer HAL 9000 from Space Odyssey, for sure.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And I will probably talk about this more as we go, but I really like this characterization of Shockwave, because in other continuities, in G1. He's kind of a goon. He's kind of a simp. He's just there to get picked on by whoever comes to Cybertron that week. Whether it's oh man, we need to go to Wheeljack's old workshop. Oh man, we have to go through Shockwave. Or being constantly picked on by the female Autobots. Because we only see that in that one episode, but I am sure that is not the first or the last time.
Female Autobots. I thought they were extinct.
Because I just feel they're constantly putting whoopee cushions under his chair, lighting firecrackers around him, or maybe they get a paper bag full of poo and they light it on fire. He's like, "What's going on? Those female Autobots again!"
Females.
Yeah, it's just a montage of him doing stuff, and one of their arms comes through a panel in the wall and puts something down.
Yes, pranksters, not terrorists at all. But regardless, so it's so in the G1 cartoon, Shockwave is kind of pretty useless. In the G1 comic, specifically the Marvel comic, he has a lot of Starscream traits. He's Starscream if he was capable, because all he wants to do is usurp Megatron and be the leader, because he's logically figured out that he's the best one for the job. He's the most powerful. He's the most logically minded, and he just comes to this conclusion logically. So he has that cold, detached demeanor that you like in a Shockwave. But then later iterations go more into the mad scientist type of thing, in especially IDW's comic books and other continuities, even in the Netflix War for Cybertron and stuff. Modern day Shockwave, contemporary Shockwave, is mad scientist first, with cold logic demeanor. But this guy, animated Shockwave, is something else entirely. You could say he's sort of a mad scientist, but it's not his entire personality. He's obviously incredibly loyal to Megatron, but that's not his entire personality also. He's a bit of a bruiser. He's a bit of a brawler. And through the cold logic, there is a little bit of a sense of humor about him too, that we don't see in Shockwave a lot. Like even when he's like, oh yeah, this thing, the Magnus hammer, you know what?
Considering his current condition, I don't think he'll mind.
He has, as a graduate of the Megatron School of the Theater, he's got some of those tendencies to him. But like, I really enjoy this Shockwave because like there's a nastiness to him. Like there's a cunningness. Like in this conversation he has with Ratchet, where like again being mold mates with Ironhide, Michael Andrews, he's like, that's Ultra Magnus's hammer, and
that explains it. It's something genetic about them in the cyber DNA.
But yeah, he tells Ratchet after he explains this whole thing with Omega Supreme and what they're going to do. He lays out the whole plan. He does this whole parlor scene, but he says that
the Autobots will be nothing but a skid mark on the data files.
And it's like, I mean, again, like his word choice, it's just like, you don't necessarily get this from a lot of other Shockwaves. Again, I really like this guy.
Yeah, that's really cool. It kind of has that sort of like crude like military lingo, which reminds us that he's sort of this product of the Autobot Academy. It kind of reminded me, that delivery of that line specifically kind of reminded me of like Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. Like just, be very cool and calculating, but the stuff he was saying was kind of crude.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, you could argue that he's a kind of a 9/11 terrorist type of thing. It's like, I learned in your Western schools. That kind of thing. Sure, yeah. Shockwave has a Western education, that kind of thing, and is now using that against the Autobots. That's terrifying. That's a thing I've said. But,
layers, man, layers.
But the thing also, though, to underscore is that Shockwave does not know how to wield the hammer because he's just swinging it. It's like he has like no finesse, no skill, and he's using it literally like a blunt instrument. Which I thought was kind of interesting as well.
Those long arms ain't made for hammer swinging, folks.
Yeah,
no,
it's almost more of a trophy to him than a weapon.
Yes. Right. Oh, 1,000,000%. You're absolutely right. And speaking of like the long arms, I don't remember if it's here or if it's later, but there's a scene where he like retrieves the hammer with like his Mr. Fantastic arms. And you see him like, you don't see him grab it, but you see him pulling it back and you see like the tank treads like rolling as he's retracting his long arms as it were. But so you got this fight here. Ratchet is fighting with Shockwave, and basically it's revealed that Shockwave wants to get the access codes to Omega Supreme, and that's you get a classic Ratchet line here. He's like,
if you think you're getting those codes out of me, you'll have to download them from my code offline processor.
Not the first time he's used that. Like what was it? Like a Blitzwing or something like that. Oh, because he had Sari's key. That's right. Yeah. But anyway, not
really brave of him to use that line again after what happened last time he used it. Right? Like,
oh my gosh,
losing the hand.
Oh my god!
He says a similar thing too with Sari when they try to reactivate her in Transwarp, but I don't think it's quite the same.
Yeah. He talks a big game.
Yeah.
Does.
Yeah, and also, oh my god, this flashed before my eyes because I know where we're going next. Consider the double meaning of cold offline processor and like taking the activation codes. That's literally what's going on with RC. It's like, well, I won't take it from your cold offline processor. I'll take it from hers then.
Right.
Gross. I just landed on that, and I feel really
that's a great thing because the next thing Shockwave says to that is like he doesn't need it. Right.
Yeah.
Now we get it. Like, yeah. I'm wondering if that maybe gave him the idea right in that moment, almost like cold dead processor. You don't say.
Oh.
Like
dental plan. Lisa needs braces. Dental plan. Lisa needs braces. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's but regardless, that is the thing that gets Ratchet to lose his concentration. He kind of like lets go of the hammer, like releases his magnet powers, and Shockwave escapes. Ratchet seemingly like thrown to his doom over the side of like this reactor thing. Nope, magnets himself out of the pit and quips to Captain Fanzone,
I'm getting too old for this.
Right, yeah, got to get that cop buddy drama type trope in there. That was a nice little Nice little nod. And also cool Magneto use of the magnets there for sure. He's really going full X-Men in this.
Meanwhile, back at Fortress Maximus, Sentinel is he's ordered that all but essential energon to get powered up to the Maximus blaster, I guess we'll call it. I don't know what to call this thing, but the giant super weapon. He's like, we need all the power we can, but that doesn't go unnoticed. Dude is caught here, and Perceptor asks him straight up. It's like, what are you doing?
Sentinel Prime, please explain why all but essential energon has been diverted to Fortress Maximus.
And even Alpha Trion is like, but we're still deliberating. To which I love now that Sentinel starts every sentence with, well,
as acting Magnus.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. And so this is multiple layers. He says, as acting Magnus,
I must be ready to strike should Megatron make a move against us.
He catches himself, cuts himself off. He's like, Omega, I mean Megatron. And here's the thing. Again, I'm not taking Sentinel's side here, but he's not as wrong as I would like, because there is a version where they should be ready. Now, granted, this guy's kill crazy for friend, foe, it doesn't matter to him. He just wants to blow stuff up. He just wants to shoot Omega out of the sky. But there is a smidgen, a sliver of like, yeah, he's not exactly wrong for wanting to be battle ready. Because Megatron is going to make a move against them.
Oof. Yeah, I was just thinking about like I wonder if Omega Supreme in the sky, kind of going back to like his. I wonder if it just sort of creates like an anger in him too. Also, just like here's something that he believed was gone. It's just more physical evidence of that he didn't know something, right? And now he just needs to like blow it out of the sky. Like it's just a reminder of his mistake.
Yeah, and then I feel like another thing is that like Sentinel has never really seen Omega as an asset to them because he's never seen him prior to this moment, and now when he's seeing him, it is basically Megatron's greatest weapon that is right next to them. So I can see in his perspective, he's like not thinking of it like, oh, that's our friend, that's our comrade. He's like, that's a death weapon. That is a war machine.
Yeah, even in his singular track mind thinking, he's right about this. This is something very dangerous to have in Megatron's hands.
Sentinel says that the elite guard is simply preparing to attack for if and when the council gives permission. The council continues to deliberate, and Sentinel orders the twins, the kids, to arm the weapon to take aim at Omega. Meanwhile, back on the ship, Lugnut tries to come up with a plan because he's had a taste of leadership at this point. It's like, he spearheaded the whole Decepticon Air operation with Swindle's help, but still, like, so he's had like his Decepticons transform and rise up moment. He's got plans. He's an independent thinker now. But anyway, Lugnut is saying like,
let us strike now, glorious leader. Take the Autobots offline. And
Starscream actually agrees with that, but probably for different reasons.
Right.
But regardless, Megatron squashes it down, saying that there's a reason for being out in the open, which once again, Shockwave with like his he's got like his ceiling fan going. He's got the Christmas lights strung, live, laugh, love, and all that other stuff. And he comes back onto the Zoom call, and he has told him that he's acquired the clearance codes to enter the facility holding RC, to where they ask him, it's like, well, how'd you get that? And he's like,
let's just say I know a bot.
Which I thought was pretty chilling. But we catch up with Fanzone, who is, again, like so much police work for Fanzone here. Like I think holistically, Two Mikes, Too Furious, kind of like anti-cop adjacent, ACAB and all that other stuff. But like Fanzone really puts in the work here. Like he is doing like real, true police work, and it's such a cool showcase of his abilities, because like even though he is kind of like a fish out of water, he, like we talked about way at the beginning, Michael Anders, you had mentioned that like, he gets his footing under him real quickly, and he understands, even though it's a land of machines, he knows people. He could read people. Yeah. And that leads them to a character that has a name that I did not know until I looked at the TF Wiki, but apparently this is Rattletrap. Not Rat Trap, but it's a Rattletrap.
You got the wrong bot. I don't know nothing.
And they shake him down and find out he was the one that coughed up the clearance codes to Shockwave.
Right, it goes from like chilling, like, whoa, who's this guy? It's like this little guy, and it's like, oh, all right. Well,
okay.
Abbey, if I can quick ask, do you remind me, do you have any love for Beast Wars or nostalgia for Beast Wars? Is that kind of a blind spot for you?
I really need to rewatch it. I've seen a lot of clips, mostly. Some of them very good. Some of them are the funny animation, out of context clips. But I've heard that it was airing, I think, for a brief time throughout my childhood. But I think I want to go back at it because I've heard that if you can get past kind of the animation at the time, it is a really good story. So I do need to rewatch it.
Yeah, for sure. I will second that. I guess where I was going with that is, if you can think back to the first time you saw this, or even now rewatching it for this recording, did you get any hit when you saw Rat Trap? Was it just like, hey, there's just another guy, or was it like, oh, this is like a deep cut, or anything like that?
I mean, when I first watched this back in the day, this was kind of my fun. This was my first interaction with what would be any Rat Trap.
Oh, sure.
And then the voice acting kind of helped too with that. So when I learned about Rat Trap and then rewatched this series, I was like, oh, I see what they were trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if it's that thing of like you kind of know, once, even if you haven't seen the source material, you kind of know like they're sort of putting a spotlight on this guy, or like we're supposed to know what he's from or something like that he's just a little bit different from everything else. I feel like it was that sort of thing.
Yes. I'm always interested too, because he's very, again, like organic themed.
Mm-hmm.
And that always is such a interesting topic when we think of Bumblebee and Wasp and how they're based on organic things, but they're not organic. And do these other animals and insects exist on other worlds that they've traveled to? Obviously it's because, 40 or so years ago, they made up those names. But it's always funny to see that of oh, they hate organics, but also this one kind of looks like an organic.
Yeah, I was wondering. I wonder if that even lends itself to the name change, right? Like Rat Trap is too organic sounding. There wouldn't be a Rat Trap on. That thing wouldn't exist on Cybertron, right? So we have to have, and then so it's a sort of a kind of a play on like Battle Trap, and I'm looking at the TF Wiki, and it's noting that he shares a body type with Ransack. So it's safe to assume that he turns into like a Cybertronian bike. I guess that's just speculation, but I think that's all kind of interesting. I guess that's probably where the name change came from, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say also, at a time where the Predacons have risen or whatever.
If only we had a word for the past tense of rise.
Yes. I could see Rattletrap standing next to Black Arachnia as Rat Trap, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's it's kind of a similar character design type of thing, less the scary helmet and the multiple spider lady eyes and the fangs and whatnot, but it's still kind of like the same type of thing where, like Abbey, like you were saying, it's he's got, especially in his face, he's got very Rat Trap forward organic type of features, and even in his body type, again, it's I'm kind of got some Black Arachnia vibes in that I could see that guy having a organic alternate mode, that kind of thing. Not all that similar to Black Arachnia. It feels like it's all kind of from the same design aesthetic there, which is interesting to consider further, given Sentinel's overt racism towards organics and how thoroughly disgusted he was that any bot have a organic mode, to have a beast mode. How patently offensive that is. But yeah, Yeah.
Well, to take it a step further, maybe that's why he's down there. Maybe his whole being a snitch and his life of crime and having to live underground comes from, like, unfortunately having this sort of organic looking visage. He's what Abby's generation might call a rat boyfriend, I think is the term. Rat boyfriend.
Maybe.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Hot rodent boyfriend or a sexy rat man.
A new form of attraction has everyone clamoring, squeaking even. Everyone wants the hot rodent man. That's right, Mickey Mouse stonks are at an all-time high. It turns out everyone wants a hot rodent boyfriend, and this slang has only become popular over the past month or so. It describes an attractive male who strongly resembles a rat or has mouse-like features, often unconventionally attractive. It describes everything that isn't associated with toxic masculinity. It's a counterculture movement for all the rat men out there, and honestly, slay. All the men with ratatouilles controlling their movements, it's hot rat summer, baby. Let's start chewing on wires.
Oh my gosh. So this partnership between Fanzone and Ratchet is a lot of fun. They're doing like this good cop, bad cop type of thing as they're grilling poor Rattletrap here.
Yeah. See my partner here? He's an organic. You've heard about organics, haven't you?
I wrote down good cop, organic cop, and I was pretty proud of that. So
that's good. I like that. That's a button. And really what the Fanzone portion of the split image on this button would be Fanzone just putting out the two-fingered peace sign after he shoved his fingers in his nose. And I love how brief it is. Like he just kind of like does the shove and then pulls out and just like puts them out like, oh, I'm gonna get you. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's good.
But regardless, this so that's as if that wasn't enough fluid legislation, my friends. Okay, so I'm an only child. I've never had older or younger siblings, but like I would imagine this whole like long slob drooly game, like I'm gonna get you, oh I'm not gonna get you, that kind of thing. This seems like something siblings would do with one another. But this snot is so gross. I wrote that in my notes, all caps. Yeah. This snot is so gross because like the color,
the
texture, the length. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like
he has to go to the doctor. Like,
yeah, it's like that's not okay.
He seems sick, sir.
Yeah.
I think this indicates that perhaps what we've often conjectured is that he is a fan of the Seattle dog with the cream cheese. I think there's some dairy kind of buildup here that sort of created a lot of phlegm.
That's nasty. That's nasty. and he retracts it all the way back in. Like, where does it go? Like, right. Gross. Enjoy your pizza. But anyway, so as they get ready to leave, they get this access card from Rattletrap, and this is probably my favorite line of the whole episode, where Ratchet asks Fanzone, it's like, well, how did you know about this guy? You know, how'd you know to go look for this dude? How did we end up here? And Captain Fanzone just like over the show, he's like,
there's one in every town.
And that tells you everything you need to know about Captain Fanzone and how he does his police work. Brilliant.
100%. Yeah, his strongest suit is just that he always lands on his feet wherever he lands, right? Like that's like his biggest skill.
Yeah, so cool. But turns out that the codes are bogus and the access card doesn't work. Just as they realize that that's happening, Jazz, who has been tracking them the whole time, steps out of the shadows, but he is not a foe. He is an ally. Ratchet is kind of skeptical. He's like, oh, these elite guard knuckleheads, I don't know about this, but it's Fanzone who sticks up for him. And it's like, so Jazz and Fanzone have like this connection that I really wish I would like to see more explored, because like they have a kinship like immediately, like even like earlier in the episode where the elite guard comes up on him and Jazz is like, no, I know this guy. And now Fanzone gets the opportunity to return the favor.
Relax. If he was going for the collar, he'd have done it by now.
And goes on to say, like, you know, real kind of smug, and says basically like, yeah, I can spot a tail. Like, he knew Jazz was following them the whole time, didn't say anything to Ratchet because he probably had a feeling something like this was going to happen.
Yeah, it's similar to that little moment we just had before with Rattletrap, where it's like he just knows this is just cop stuff. It's true in whatever planet you're on. I really like that. And yeah, they do have this sort of kinship. They're both kind of cops in a way. They're both security, but they're kind of this weird inverse yin yang of each other, right? Like Fanzo's an organic that hates machines, and Jazz is a machine that appreciates organics. Like there's some sort of like dual nature there.
Yeah.
I also find it nice because we forget Jazz is a ninja. He is a robot ninja, and Fanzone is still able to pick him out.
Yeah.
So Fanzone is pretty skilled.
Right.
Yeah.
He's no ninja himself, but apparently. Although, you know, to take that metaphor a little further, he does fight really well with Prowl in their episode together. Like they have that whole like montage fight scene where they're like, you know, it's seemingly Prowl's kind of using him as a weapon, but maybe they're just like in perfect ninja tandem. I don't know.
That's also a button. Perfect ninja tandem for your Jazz Prowl shippers, maybe. Right. I mean, they got to be out there, right? I mean, come on. I mean, somebody's got to ship that.
Yeah, sure.
It's right there. It's right there. But anyway, so like this is kind of like Jazz has been on this trajectory, I would say, since the beginning of season 2. Like you could tell right away that Jazz just is very reluctant and hesitant with Sentinel's whole thing. And it feels like with each progressing episode, you see that erode more and more. Like, and you could tell that he has a kinship with the Earthbound Autobots. Like, he has that moment with Optimus where he's just like, yeah, you know what? I just try not to listen to anything Sentinel says. And, you know, I just kind of tune him out. So they've really laid the groundwork this entire time. You could argue 2 seasons worth of, you know, what happens at the end of the episode. But even here, like, Jazz is already saying that, like, you know, he's had it with Sentinel's attitude, and that, you know, he kind of likes the tune these guys are playing more. Like, you're really seeing that shift here.
Preach into the choir, brother.
Yeah, agree. Next.
So from there, they locate RC. You know, they get the right codes. They go into the building, but turns out Shockwave was following them the whole time, and he's led them straight to RC. And Shockwave, again, in that cold, dispassionate way, he's just like, "Oh yeah, thanks. You led me right to her. You know, thanks for that kind of thing."
A double tail Fanzone. Where were we on that one, dipshit? I mean, come on, like what? You couldn't see the hats. You saw the ninja. You didn't see Shockwave.
Well, but to Abby's point about like Jazz being a ninja, maybe that mooched all of Fanzone's bandwidth. So it's like, you know, Shockwave was probably like one step behind, and right. Yeah, you know, it's difficult to spot a tail from Cyber Ninja. Impossible to find an infiltrator Shockwave at the same time, I would think. I'll give Fanzone some grace on maybe. But regardless, it leads to another fight where Ratchet is trying to get RC to safety while Shockwave is pursuing them. But through that, Fanzone is just kind of like, he wants an explanation, because it's like he's asking the whole time. It's like, what are we doing? What's going on? And Ratchet even earlier is like, oh, well, you know, the answer to all of your questions are going to be behind this door. Door opens and he's just like, what? Dead robot lady. That answers literally
not the first I've seen on my watch.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like this literally answers no questions. But basically, like, they get away with Shockwave in hot pursuit, and this triggers a flashback. And basically, as as they're getting away, it's kind of like a run and talk type of thing. I don't know. It's the inversion of the Aaron Sorkin walk and talk. What would be a run and talk? Because it's really kind of one of those.
Yeah, it's like a walk and talk and a run and gun kind of hybrid, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, there you go. But basically, as they are fleeing, Ratchet gives Fanzone the explanation because he's like, look, God damn it, we're running for our lives here. Tell me what is going on. and we get a flashback to Thrill of the Hunt. And you've so Lockdown shows up in this episode, not necessarily his last appearance in Five Servos like I thought, but like I love this visual of Shockwave sasing them through the tunnels. I think this happened with Blitzwing in a previous episode, but like the visual of like the tank treads scraping and sparking against the side of the walls because the tank is too wide.
Yeah.
Freaking wicked.
Yeah.
I really like that visual, but like, I think it was earlier in the fight. Maybe it was before they took off, but like Ratchet and Shockwave are having this conversation about RC.
You're fighting rather bravely for nothing more than a shelved piece of empty hardware.
And he realizes that, like, well, hang on a sec. Shockwave, wait a sec.
And if you think you can bring her back, then maybe I can too.
How noble.
And I think that's I don't know. I want to stop here for a sec for a little bit of side discussion, because from what we've seen from RC in season 3 is she is comatose, she's unresponsive, and depending upon who you talk to, she may or may not be dead. But still in full colors, like Whirl has pointed out, no gray equals not dead. So because again, her cube was still blue. So I get that. But like, certainly like a brain death of some kind. Like she's not coherent. But the thing that is interesting that I found myself kind of even more upset the more I thought about it. If you go back to Thrill of the Hunt, the first Lockdown episode, and you find out that Ratchet uses his EMP generator to basically fry her brain, she's not offline. She's not dead, and she's not unresponsive. Meaning like, so sure, she's got amnesia, because I remember talking, this is so vivid to me, like our conversation about it, because like there's a thing that Sue Blue does with the voice that kind of like knocks it down, like it, for lack of a better term, like intelligent levels. It's very childlike, and it's heartbreaking because she doesn't sound like that earlier in the episode. Like she's just more classic RC, but it's kind of more like, where am I? What is my name? What is going on? That kind of thing. But like she can stand, she can talk, she can perceive her surroundings. She's, for lack of a better term, alive in a way that she's not when we see her in Transwarped with her brain half cracked open.
Yeah.
So to me, the implication is the Autobots did that to her. That Perceptor, that mainframe, that fucking other guy whose name I can't remember, Ultra Magnus. Because like when they bring in Ratchet, they've already tried, not unlike what Shockwave is trying to do here. They've tried to get the codes out of her brain, and I think it's because of this level of monkeying around and meddling, they put her in that comatose state. So now they need Ratchet to commune with her, and so she can imprint the codes or pass along the codes to Ratchet so he can imprint on Omega Supreme. So even like, I don't remember if it's later, but like Perceptor says something to the effect of, no, it was in Transwarp, because like he's talking about like the, retrieving the activation codes, which caused the damage to her circuitry that Perceptor calls, quote unquote, completely irreversible. He has firsthand knowledge of that, because I'm sticking my neck out saying that like Perceptor's the one that did that. He tried to monkey around in her noggin, tried to get the codes out and put her in a coma because of it. That's why he damning
evidence.
Yeah, and why he can speak so confidently about how the damage is completely irreversible, because he is the perpetrator of that damage.
Wow.
Bone chilling.
Well, you've argued your case to me. I believe it.
Yeah.
Abby, where are you sitting on that? Is that sitting all right with you?
I kind of believe that, and like it's also kind of upsetting because all of this happened. Again, we see her at the end. She's mind erased but can function. Autobots get hand of her, no longer able to function. Right. And then after the whole world war, they just kind of forget about that or discard it. And so they don't even really let her live a life where she doesn't know of the war. They're just like, oh, well, you still have these activation codes in your processor, so we're just going to keep you brain dead so no one can use them. Like, and that's kind of what I thought. I was like, oh, so like they thought the stuff in her mind was too important that she's no longer going to be able to live, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Because according to a lot of other people, Ratchet's the only one with that code.
Correct.
It's not true.
Not true. And that's the whole thrust of Shockwave's scheme. He's like, well, I could get it from Ratchet. Wait a sec. Cold dead processor. That gives me an idea. That's wow.
Yeah, we got there, folks. We got.
God damn.
It reminds me of something. I'm actually like presently reading the IDW 2.0 storyline, and it reminds me, I just read this issue, but there's this episode where they're I think it's Hound, and he's talking to an organic, and the organic is kind of like standing in for the rest of the galaxy and how they feel about Cybertronians, and they say something to this effect of like, because you have these unusually long lives, you don't really think of the consequences of things. Like things don't ever come to a head, or you don't have to worry about like someone dying or something not being there. And so I think what we're seeing here, I guess, to kind of echo what Abby was saying, is like, RC is just this project on the back burner, right? There's no, they can keep her in this state forever. They can live forever. Like it's just, there's no consequence to their actions. And because of that, they've become sort of cold. The Autobot High Council and Autobots in general making wartime decisions, like there's no real consequence to their actions. Anything that goes wrong or doesn't work out can just be like indefinitely held in this state of, unchanging until they're ready to do something with it.
Yeah.
And if I can throw another layer of tragedy to this, because that's what I love doing.
Yeah, this is why we're here.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a mind F for Ratchet, because this is his whole personality is kind of based on like, she's dead and I did it, and I'm the cruelest doctor that did this horrible thing. And if we're presupposing this is what happened instead, he could have avoided this whole grumpy life, like this whole the whole chip on his shoulder maybe didn't have to be there.
Yeah
Damn,
all of it. So regardless though, the battle continues, and it like spills over through this hospital institution, whatever you want to call it. Because so you have comatose RC, who's been sitting in this room for millions of years, but also a couple hallways over you have Ultra Magnus, who is like we saw in the propaganda video earlier. It's like, and again, it's upsetting imagery, because like his arm is like sitting on a different table on the other side of the counter there, and he's still all messed up from the attack on Shockwave. But now, during this conversation that we're having now about like the discarded nature of RC, is that what they're doing to Ultra Magnus? Are they going to put him in long-term storage while Sentinel takes power and the council just looks the other way? Because like they say that Ultra Magnus is on spark support, but there's no like repairing apparatus. There's nobody, like, for lack of a better term, like working on him. There's no like NASCAR pit crew. There's no, there's no surgeons. He just seems like they've got like some kind of like, I don't know, like it was kind of like Star Trek The Next Generation, kind of like, med bay bed thing that they kind of have over his torso there. But like, given what we just discussed, there's a version of this where it's just they're just putting him on ice, and they're just gonna leave him there in perpetuity. You know, not dead, not alive, but just kind of like, you know, in a coma essentially, which is not good. Not good.
Well, I mean, right, and it could be an order from Sentinel, but there's probably a lot of other bots that sort of, you know, it's in their best interest, or like in their best laid plans, that he's laid up for a little bit longer.
Yeah,
there just might not be a lot of impetus here on anyone's part to like get him back repaired.
Exactly.
Maybe they like don't have the means to fully heal him now, but they want to get all the information from him that he has from being a Magnus. And so they're gonna, again, maybe the same thing they do with RC. They prioritize getting all that info before actually like doing anything to heal him. Or maybe they decide, well, now we have all the information.
Yeah.
Maybe we just scrap him. He's old.
Yeah, send Perceptor out of him. I'm just like looting around in there like a change drawer, just like looking for goodies. It's just open up the junk drawer pantry and just like look for fruit snacks or whatever. It's like, ooh, this looks good. Ooh, Kind Bar, nice. You know, it's like, so yeah, it's that's real upsetting. But
yeah, the real quick too, the imagery here of RC and Ultra Magnus kind of being in the same room and in the same condition. Yeah, maybe this is a little more in your wheelhouse than IDW 2.0, but I also read this weekend the Volume 2 compilation of the Skybound Transformers series. So I got a little more of that story. And this really kind of visually struck me when I saw this, because it's we kind of see the same thing where like Ultra Magnus is laid up after years of torture, and RC thought, you know, that he was dead, and is like looking at him, and they're both kind of in disarray here now from battle of like this. I just saw this somewhere in this comic.
Yeah. And no spoilers for Skybound, but like I was championing at the bit. I'm like, oh no, you've met Ultra Magnus. Oh no. Because like it is profoundly upsetting. Yeah, it's and kind of ties into this in a kind of way as well. But regardless of that, for now, there's a little bit of a battle here, and basically like Shockwave coming in, and this is kind of that cold, calculated, but still kind of not without humor type of thing, where Shockwave is like, oh, it's my good bestest buddy, Ultra Magnus. How are you doing today? It's like, you know, it's been a while since I seen you. Oh, you don't look like you're doing so good. And he's like,
perhaps I should finish what I started.
And this is his first inclination of actually being able to use the Magnus hammer, because like he like Thor, like Odin, he starts to call the lightning. But Ratchet, who I think was kind of like playing possum this whole time.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me.
Kind of like he reacts. He pulls out the EMP generator, and he's just like click clack. It's like this, and we know what that means. When the EMP generator comes out, it's like shit's getting real. And he uses it. And it works enough for Ratchet to snag the Magnus hammer from Shockwave. And before they take off, this is it's like poetry. It rhymes. You know, it's like this is not the first time that when Ratchet starts talking about Sentinel Prime, poof, he appears. Like, I mean, this whole thing, and again, like we were talking about earlier, so like, you know, Sentinel shows up, and he of course thinks that Ratchet is there to assassinate Ultra Magnus.
Drop the hammer and step away.
And of course he's a traitor. He's like, I knew, and even then he even says like, I knew you were a traitor. That was the other thing. It's like he's not even like making that allegation. He's like trying to double and triple down from his allegations from earlier. He's just like, I knew it, motherfucker. I knew you was dirty. And look at you now. Look at you now. You and your grubby organic accomplice here. You know, you've been hanging out with organics too long. You're going to take out the Magnus. Nasty.
I also want to point to the cool visual. I wrote down, I described it as righteous, the pose of Ratchet with the hammer. Like it was drawn so cool. Like, oh, I got to grab a still of that. It was epic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it would be spoilerific, but I really feel like Ratchet should come with the Magnus hammer. That would be a cool accessory for a Ratchet toy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like, you know, he holds it like you were saying,
my toy with it now, I think.
Absolutely. And it's righteous. Like you couldn't have said it better, but like, and he holds it with the reverence and respect that weapon deserves. Like he gets it. He knows what it is. He understands the power that it wields.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like kind of to your point of calling it. It's like I wonder if it's that moment where like Captain America almost moved Thor's hammer. Like I wonder if Sentinel's walking in and seeing Ratchet with the hammer and being like, oh my god, like he's got it. And maybe that righteous prose was supposed to like sort of anger him into going further this way.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reverse Endgame where it's like when Cap is actually able to summon and wield Thor's hammer. Fucking Cat Dennings. There we go. Mew Mew. We'll just call it Mew Mew. I could normally say that, but I cannot today. Mjolnir. God damn it. Mjolnir. Anyway, so I said it once. So now I can fix that in post, but I'm not because it's funnier this way. But anyway, so like the look that Thor has when Cap has the hammer, it's not of jealousy or contempt. He smiles because it affirms what he saw in Age of Ultron. He's like, I knew you were worthy. I knew you were worthy the whole time. It's like, why are you playing? That kind of thing. It's like, this is the opposite response to that, where Sentinel, again, like you were saying, Michael Andrews, furiously jealous. And maybe there is some kind of otherworldly enchantment to the Magnus hammer. Maybe that's why Ironhide is so concerned about it. Whoa, where's your hammer? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't really been explained what this totem means to the Autobots. It's like, is it a stand-in for the Matrix? We know that the Allspark is a thing, but like, yeah, what significance does this Magnus hammer have? Like, is that a token of leadership? The show hasn't told me yet. That kind of thing. It's very interesting how this thing has a mystique about it, but also kind of doesn't. That kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Shockwave takes the opportunity and escapes with RC. So he snags RC's unresponsive body and they peace out, to which immediately Sentinel, ever reactive, says, fire on Omega Supreme. Like as soon as they take off and there's no hope of catching them, he's like, blow those fuckers out of the sky. And it's it sucks. And I have it here in my notes. I don't know if it actually happens here or not, but like I think this is about the time that Fanzone emerges from the rubble. And it's kind of interesting because like, it's a signature catchphrase. Obviously it's the title of the episode, but please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were specifically saving this because like he says something similar with the tech support. The only thing I hate more than machines is tech support for machines. This is the only time he says the actual line.
This is why I hate machines.
When he's looking directly at Sentinel and he's like, certain machines more than others. And it's, and it's supposed to have like that impact. Like, like the one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie, it's like,
or the one shit in a otherwise animated film for children.
Sure. Exactly. It's exactly the same thing. Yeah. Escalation in rating. But yeah, it's like that's the way I took it. It's like, because like easily he could be saying this at every turn. Oh, guy's gonna step out. This is why I hate machines. Oh, Rat Trap gave us the wrong codes. This is why I hate machines. It's like he could do that at every turn. And the fact that he doesn't gives this delivery here when he's specifically pointing at Sentinel gives it the emphasis that I think it deserves.
Here.
Yeah. Also, that's the title of the episode. Right. They're like, what are we going to call this thing? And it was so funny, too, because like not knowing the episodes, this was one of the few ones where I'm like, pretty sure this is a Captain Fanzone Spotlight episode. I don't know what else is going on, but I know this is Fanzone heavy. So it's like, so Abbey, like when you specifically requested this one, I'm just like, is Abbey like a Captain Fanzone super fan? Like what's going on here? Like I didn't quite clue it together right away. I didn't realize that this was as much a Ratchet episode as it is a Fanzone episode.
Yeah. I like the human characters. I like humans in Transformers media.
He runs a blog called Fanzone.
I wish. But no, I just think they complement each other really well too. They're both cranky enough. But I do kind of like that. Yeah, he keeps that line for Sentinel because he is on, again, Cybertron this entire time. And, again, has every moment to say it. But he's also kind of seeing all these Cybertronians as people now, not just these weird bots that came to Earth. He's like, oh yeah, like they have their world. He can see that in particular, Sentinel is a problem compared to everyone else. And I think him just pointing that out, he's like, I don't really like machines, but you are particularly awful.
Right.
Even in this society of fully machine people.
I have one bit of early Two Mikes Too Furious lore, some deep lore. In fact, he might not even remember this, but like way back before we started the show, and Michael Andrews, we were, title legislation and what are we going to call it? It was always code named Two Mikes Too Furious as like a placeholder, and it stuck secretly because I think that's just what we wanted to always call it anyway.
Probably.
But my buddy Anthony Bricali, TFU.info, reached out to me, and he's like, because like I had shared with him that, it was a project we were thinking about starting, and he's like, well, you should call it like Transformers Fan Zone or something, or like incorporate Fan Zone somehow. And I didn't know what the hell a Captain Fan Zone was at that point. So it's like I didn't. And so it's like I didn't get it. It didn't resonate with me. It didn't click with me. I'm like, yeah, that's a cool suggestion. I will proceed to do nothing with it because I think this is what I want to call it. But thanks anyway. But yeah, and I still can't quite figure out what the version of that is. But now that we've been on this journey, because like I think what Ant was trying to convey to me also is that if you incorporate the name Fan Zone in there, that it could have a double meaning that can be something beyond animated, because it's like, oh, it's a fan zone, our podcast is a zone for fans, or sure. that kind of thing. Like it could have a couple few different meanings, but I think it's just kind of funny that now that we're in this Captain Fan Zone spotlight, and much like the season 3 farewell tour, I would imagine that this is very likely the last time we're going to see Captain Fan Zone. That like, yeah, this would be a good time to reveal that that nugget. There was a prototype version of it where it was suggested that we incorporate Fan Zone into the name of the show, but
in the Fan Zone with Mike and Mike, that's what I would have called it.
Oh, sure, that could be fun. I like that.
I like it.
It's like that tone means he doesn't like it. It's
yeah.
Like, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily, but also definitely.
We'll leave it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we won't change the name. So from there, Fortress Maximus opens fire, but just as the Maximus cannon goes off, Omega just blinks out of existence, transwarps out of the path of the blast, and the shot just harmlessly parts the clouds. And if that isn't a perfect metaphor for how ineffective the Autobots are, it's like even for like war-mongering Sentinel to be like at the ready, and when he has his chance, too late. There was something about that, the imagery of like the clouds parting with the blast cutting through it. I'm like, that's the Autobot military in contemporary times. Can't find the double agent. Can't round up the Decepticons without help. How did these guys win the war? Oh, right, Omega Supreme. Like without Project Omega, these knuckleheads got no chance. Like I'm reminded of like something like Huffer said, like in G1. He's like, well, we're not fighters like they are. So from there, a little bit later, the Autobot Council and the Elite Guard, and they've they take them basically. They're back in like the council chambers here, and I think at this point it's time to go home. The adventure is over. But during this, Alpha Trion is all up in Sentinel's face. He's given him the business.
What you did was reckless and in complete disregard for the rule of Autobot law.
And he even says that, if it were up to me, you'll never be the Magnus. He sees that, his, abuse of power and presumably the effect that it's had on all of this. This is kind of weirdly the council's hubris in a way, because I don't know if it was like an in-between thing where they elected him or appointed Sentinel as the acting Magnus. I would wonder what that conversation looks like. But the implication here is that Alpha Trion definitely has buyer's remorse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do wonder how much of the other council is actually in favor of Sentinel, if he is the majority of not liking him. Because he does say, if it was up to me alone,
yeah,
he would not have the decision. So I do wonder if Sentinel is favorable or favored with some of the council, just not off Trion.
Well, yeah, and much like Congress and the Senate, I'm sure you might have party lines. You have folks that are let's get the Decepticon scourge, that kind of thing. Or you have maybe the more, let's just be cars and trucks. So yeah, it would be interesting to see kind of where the party line is for the Autobot government, and even who all even is on the council. That's a whole nother arm of legislation that we don't even necessarily really get into, because Cliffjumper is part of that mix occasionally, but he's Agent Cliffjumper. I don't even remember if he has Elite Guard wings on his symbol or not, but neither here nor there. But regardless, Alpha Trion goes out of his way to thank both Ratchet and Captain Fanzone.
The real heroes today are Ratchet and this organic. You have our things.
But Ratchet, though, being a realist, being a grump, whatever, he's yeah, but they still got away with RC. This is in no way a victory. In fact, it's another crushing defeat. This sucks.
Absolutely. And I feel there isn't a lot of what people's Perceptor doesn't have a lot of people skills. He's because he's oh no, I assure you, she's gone.
Yeah.
Ratchet's just yeah, I guess.
Yeah, well, and it's to my whole damn rant earlier, because he's got firsthand knowledge. He's no, I made sure that lady is unalive. I promise you, after my kind of trying to cut sushi with a meat cleaver.
Concentrate.
I promise you that salad is wrecked. There's nothing there but food poisoning. It's bad. It's sorry, buddy.
Too soon.
Yeah. So Ratchet and Fanzone are about to go back home. They're going to dip back into the space bridge, but Sentinel is wait a second.
Not so fast. Hand over the hammer.
And to where Ratchet, I love this line here from Ratchet, because he refuses, and he's this hammer belongs to Ultra Magnus. Oh, because they get into some jurisdiction about Sentinel says it belongs to the Autobot Elite Guard, to which Ratchet corrects him. And he's sure, yeah, fine. But also, though,
it belongs to Ultra Magnus. We'll give it to him when he wakes up.
Which, given our discussion earlier, yeah, and kind of flies in the face of perhaps the things that we discussed earlier. Maybe the Elite Guard doesn't have plans or intentions to fully repair Ultra Magnus. So it adds another little layer there. But before anything can happen, Ratchet grabs his little dude and he's let's go. It's pretty funny. He just grabs this dude, and they jump through the space bridge, and Sentinel is right on their heels. He's in mid leap. He's about to jump in after him, and Jazz, again to Abby's point, stealth of the ninja, quickness of the ninja, puts himself in between the space bridge and Sentinel, and this is cool because he's like, hey man,
it's cool, boss. I'll go
take care of it. I'll go. Don't even worry about it. I really like the way that puts it because, like, to us, the viewer, that makes sense given what we've seen of Jazz's character. But we find out though what his true intentions are in just a sec. But before that, the pair are touched back down on Earth. Fanzone grumps some more. He grouses about how he got mixed up in a war.
Nearly stepped on, blasted, buried, and possibly zapped into space. And now you just made me an accomplice to intergalactic grand theft!
All caps with 2 exclamation points. And then you get a reprise of this may as well be the post-credit scene, but like, it's you get a reprise of the police drone thing. He's like, halt, you're under arrest. And Ratchet just does away with this with his magnet powers, like almost dismissively. He's just like, shut up, that kind of thing. And Fanzone says, let's call it even. And then from out of the space bridge, Jazz appears and Ratchet is immediately defensive. He's like, oh no. And I do love a Corey Burton as Ratchet. Oh no. A few times. It's a really fun line delivery.
Oh no. Sentinel's not getting this back without a fight.
But yeah, there's a little bit of like, not jurisdiction, but it's the opposite of that, like misunderstanding of alignments. And Jazz basically breaks it down and he's like, dude, I can't hang with those guys anymore. You guys have been cool this whole time.
And I got a vibe tells me I should be sitting in on this scene for a while. That is, if you bots are cool with it.
With the implication, I feel that one, Jazz is now part of the team. He's part of the Earthbound Autobots, but he's defected from the Elite Guard in a sense. And I wonder what the fallout and consequences for that would be. Can you just leave?
Yeah, I wonder. Like, you could probably fix up an excuse of like, oh, I was watching the Earth Autobots, making sure they don't do anything crazy. Well, really just being more prone to liking Earth than doing that. And I think Jazz may be in a position to do that at that point. He's an Elite Guard member. He has been trusted to do things and carry out tasks, like specifically with Ultra Magnus, with Sentinel Prime. And so maybe he has just enough leverage to be like, hey, I'll figure this out. Don't follow me, I guess. Don't check on me. I mean... Yeah, they give them a lot of leeway, all of their Elite Guard members. Like, how the heck did Shockwave get away with anything? It's kind of like, oh no, like, Long Arm, you are the person. We won't check anything. Just keep doing what you're doing until you...
No background check. None at all.
Right. And I wonder if you would compare Elite Guard members to, like, 00 agents. It's like, oh yeah, he's got a license to kill. He could do whatever he wants. That kind of thing. It's almost like the wings on your badge is just like, I am the police. That kind of thing. That gives you just ultimate authority over everything and a pass to cut the bureaucracy. It's almost like a Texas Ranger kind of thing.
Yeah, well, Jazz also has the Cyber Ninja thing going for him, and so like that extra thing, that extra little check mark on him. So maybe that's just like he's doing one of those ninja things, right? Like let him go off and do it. They don't ask too many questions if it's a ninja mission.
Yeah. So there's more than. There's a couple different ways to slice it for sure. So either way, Jazz, it's I guess it's a light defection. Like, it's a light desertion.
It's minor treason.
There's a good chance I may have committed some light treason.
Yeah, exactly. Light treason. He may have committed light treason. So he's not necessarily peeling the wings off, that kind of thing. But the implication here now in the second to the last episode that Jazz is now part of the crew. And I would imagine if this were to go forward, this would have a lot more significance than unfortunately it does. Like this is a big deal. Like, Jazz is like, I want to hang out with you guys. And like, I would imagine that like in season 4, like the intro, like Jazz would have like a scene in the tunnel, that kind of thing. Like, cause he's like part of the group now. And now I'm reluctant to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't have the significance that it would have had this story continued. Does that make sense?
You can see that. Like, he gets added to the team, but there's only 2 episodes left.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, exactly. So regardless, Jazz is on the team now, but we're not done yet because out in space, we get our requisite quote-unquote post-credit scene where Omega Supreme transwarps in spaceship mode just off of the moon. So there's, I'm sure, some Dark of the Moon commentary, moonmentary, if you will, for Michael Andrews and Maddie B and Lita and whoever else likes that movie. But this is interesting, and this is a segment I would like to call accidental spoilers ? Exclamation point, because so they're on the ship and Shockwave is, he's bowed before Megatron, and the two of them are talking about their plans, and not unlike the Emperor, Palpatine there, Megatron is like, rise, my most loyal servant, and all that other stuff. And so Shockwave, before he rises, he's like, oh, well, it is my pleasure and my honor to serve you, Lord Megatron. But now that all this other bullshit is done, I can now run around
under my true colors.
And you get the shimmer effect, the electronic paint job, which we know is canon now because you go back to the Face Off episode. And that's the whole I feel like that whole episode, Where's Thy Sting? I feel like that was an explanation for this, just so Shockwave could be purple.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because electronic paint job is definitely a thing. And he turns it off and he rises in his true colors. And it's interesting. So in this segment, accidental spoilers or not, back during Transwarped, we had TFG1 Mike on the show. And as a post-credit scene, because he came back after we finished the episode discussion because of internet connections and stuff. And he tells this wonderful story about how he was corresponding with Derek J. Wyatt himself about Target having a sale on purple Shockwave, and how TFG1 Mike gets up from where he's at and literally runs to Target to buy this purple Shockwave. And in the telling of the story, he talks about this scene. He even says he's like, oh yeah, now Megatron, I can serve you in my true colors. And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I thought he was talking about maybe fan art or a comic book or something. I didn't know that this was a thing that actually happened. And I didn't know that Shockwave was ever going to be purple, because even when we had the APDC guys on, when we were talking about Auto Boot Camp, we were talking about purple Shockwave versus long arm Shockwave and all that other stuff. And even in the implication of it was, it's well, they made a purple Shockwave toy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's purple in the show, because all I know is in the long arm colors, kind of the Shockwave colors, like Alpha Magnus pointed out. So I saw this happen in real time, and it was like a record scratch. I was like, wait, that thing that dude spoiled on Maid actually happened? Because it didn't even occur to me to think that he was talking about something that actually happened in the episode. And kudos to my dude Michael Andrews, because there's a version of it where you probably picked up on it and you presumably had a choice. It's do you make a scene and say oh, hey, no, stop. Mike doesn't know anything about that. You can't be, no, bad TFG1 Mike. Stop it. You could tell me that story on Twitter and all that stuff, but no, bad. And even to the point where one, you let it happen, which was absolutely the right move, because that would have immediately tripped up all of my sensors. I would have been oh shit, forbidden knowledge. Oh, but and it just would have been really messy. but even to the point where like I ended up cutting that and dropping it in as a post-credit scene. So I got to listen to that a couple times. And even then, it didn't even occur to me that that's a real story about a thing that actually happened.
Well, I will say, yeah, TFG1 Mike is my biggest wild card because he doesn't believe in spoilers, or at least he believes in like a timestamp that like you don't have to worry about spoilers anymore. Actually, the whole transwarp panel really had me on the edge of my seat. I was just like, at any point someone's going to reveal something. I can't control this chaos going on.
And then Sorry is a robot teenager.
But yeah, good times.
That's amazing. But I want to I don't want to necessarily leave this hanging also. So Megatron refers to Shockwave as his most loyal servant.
Rise, Shockwave, my most loyal servant.
And, bids him to rise. And like all you see, the camera pans over, disembodied head Starscream with his signature smirk on his face. But then you have Lugnut standing there in just silent, quivering rage. He's like, I don't know, man. Like the vibration off this guy. I thought he was like the Flash trying to like, pass his hand through a wall or something like that. Because just like the shivering vibration from this guy, he's so mad.
Yeah, he wants to be the most loyal servant. And
of course,
to be fair, I mean, like, and I guess in Lugnut's perspective, Lugnut has been there physically for Megatron much longer and has had, faith in Megatron. But to be fair, Shockwave does kind of pull his own weight.
Yeah.
He was playing the long game for a really long time, and it paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing too. It's like, how long has this scheme been going on? Is there a history with Shockwave and Megatron being Decepticons, like in their youth or something, Decepticon youth or something like that? Maybe a time before Lugnut is on the scene, before Blitzwing or Black Arachnia or whatever, to where it's like just the two of them and they make like this pact. It's like, here's what we're going to do. And it's going to be an incredibly long scheme. This may take millions of stellar cycles. But Shockwave, are you willing to do this? And he's like, of course, I am your most loyal servant. I will serve as I am needed, Lord Megatron. My liege. It's my pleasure, my liege. That whole thing. And then who knows how long Shockwave was long arm even before boot camp. Like, how much character work does he put in? How deep undercover is it? We made jokes about,
was he ever long arm?
Right. Well, and that's the flip side of it as well. It's like he may have just invented this persona on the fly and just walked up to boot camp as a walk-on. Somebody get me that fic. The early days of long arm for sure. So after all of that, I almost skipped over this. I have this habit of skipping over post-credit scenes, but like this is huge. Can't skip over it. You cut to RC, who is now shown to be conscious, and she tilts her head, looks out the window, sees her reflection. So it's like, the eyes are activated. She is there, and you could see the Earth through the window and her reflection, and she quietly whispers a single word, and it's Ratchet's name. So Ratchet. That tells, and I don't, given all of the discussion that we've had for these last few hours, I don't know what that means. Does that mean that this adventure has jostled something loose? And I don't know. I guess we'll find out in our endgame extravaganza when we get to our last couple episodes. But man, what a note to leave off on. It's very different than the previous finales, the previous penultimate episodes. Like in Nature Calls season 1, you've got this zany, Prowl Bee adventure, where they discover each other in the woods, that kind of thing. But it ends with the revelation that Megatron's body has been found. That kind of thing. It's like, this is the last stop before Megatron Rising. And conversely, with Sorry No One's Home, I'm trying to remember if that has a tag to the main A plot. I don't remember if it does, but basically it's like the zany Home Alone Die Hard adventure, that kind of thing. And this kind of has trappings of that. It's like, it's a buddy cop comedy. It's a fish out of water type of thing. And it's zany and it's fun, but much like everything else in season 3, has a little more edge to it.
Yeah, it definitely feels more like a series finale than this season, or like the penultimate series finale. And I appreciate that. I think it kind of shows the dire situation. And again, it gives us an opportunity to see Cybertron and still have a lot of lore while you're still having it's still a fun episode because you get to see Fanzone and Ratchet interact and they have fun interactions. But there is also a lot of things going on and moving parts and a little bit of sadness with RC and everything that's going on. But also some hope because we see RC talking at the very end. Ratchet. Maybe Perceptor was kind of lying when he said things were irreversible.
Yeah. So that is it. That is the end of This Is Why I Hate Machines. Quite a banger of an episode and a really good spot as a jumping off point to get into our finale coming up sooner than I would like.
Yeah, real soon.
Yeah, it's hitting, friends. But with that, before we get out of here, got a couple more segments to cross off, starting with Mike's G1 score. And this one's pretty easy because, again, I could count the cameos and just rack those up. But there's other stuff like the extended character moments, like Grandis. And you've got the name drop of the Metroplex and the name drop of Fortress Maximus. It's so this is definitely a reference heavy episode, and as such, my score will reflect that. I will give this one an 8.5, specifically in observance of Purple Shockwave and revealing his true nature and his true aspect. Shockwave is a 1985 character. I haven't given another episode an 8.5, so this seems like a really good one for that. I've given plenty of 8.6s for the movie fueled references and all that, but I think splitting the difference between all of the references and the more relevant callbacks, I think an 8.5 accurately reflects that.
I'll allow it. I like it.
Wonderful. I'm glad. So from there, I am going to briefly and quickly open up the mailbag because I have a piece of mail that is directly referenced to a character in this episode, and it won't hit as harder during the next. But yeah, let's go ahead and open up the mailbag.
The mail's here. Here's the mail that never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want a whale mail.
And this is a comment from Stuart, our good friend Stuart Christensen from the More Than Meets the Ear podcast. And he commented on our 5 Servos of Doom episode. And want to remind you folks, if you want to comment on our episodes, you could do so on YouTube where we publish the episodes. We also, there's also a comment section on Spotify. Nobody has taken advantage of that yet, which I understand because I'm not using my phone for that. I'm using that to listen to stuff. But either way, the YouTube is kind of the hub for a commentary, and feel free and interact with each other. I've seen some really cool conversations there, kind of in the chat. But regardless, Stuart commented on the 5 Servos of Doom episode and wrote, "Another great episode from the refined gentleman known as Mike!" ! I don't know who in hell he's talking about, but gentleman, no. Brand, keep looking. But firstly, let me join the chorus of praises that Star Wars Master of Terras Kasi deserves! ! Nowhere else could fans enjoy such wonders as pitting Princess Leia as Jabba's prisoner against a Tusken Raider named Hor. Pure entertainment. That was actually a true ass thing. It's Hoar is the Tusken guy in that game. That is a true ass thing. Pure entertainment! ! But this is why I wanted to read this for us. As for the hologram bus in the Hall of Fame section, there were the 2 top pupils in the 4 martial arts disciplines, Grandis and Motor Arm being high-ranking sumo wrestlers, while Springer and Starsaber were incredible fencers! ! And in this house, we respect the fan-made Kangaroo alt mode top pugilist among Cybertronians, Star Upper.
Hey, there we go.
So that from Stuart there. So yeah, and we've gotten some really great comments from our friends Matthew Barbario and John as well, previous guests, who mentioned in the Dirt Boss episode in the comments there that folks interested in his Transformers RPG game could comment there as well. We'll have a couple more bits of listener feedback in our next episode, but for now, if I'm going down my rundown correctly, Michael Andrews, I think it's time. The sand in the hourglass is running out. The sun's getting real low. It's coffee time. It's time to dim the lights in the 2M2F coffee house. I'm going to run across the room. I'm going to dim the lights. It's time, my friend, for Michael Andrews' preview haiku, a pre-coup, if you will, preview of our next episode, Ichabod's favorite segment of the show.
Yes, thank you. This was a tough one for me to write. I'm getting a little emotional about it. Abby, thanks for being here so we don't cry in front of you. You really helped. Here we go. The end begins now. Dark of the Moon Optimus gets power of flight.
I saw a little reaction with you as you were drinking the water.
Yeah, I was like, no, that is incredible. That's awesome. And again, it's bittersweet because Endgame Part 1 is next, and that is the beginning of the end for us here at 2 Mics and for Transformers Animated. It's well, cool. Well, I think that will just about wrap things up for this session. Abbey, thank you so much for being part of our dysfunctional 2 Mics family here, being our third mic here. Really appreciate your friendship and for reaching out and being a part of the show and for just being our friend.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank you for being so open to have new people on your show. People, you didn't know me before this, so I appreciate you responding. And thank you for this amazing podcast that you've created.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's literally our pleasure, my liege.
I think back. It's funny to think back to that email, Abby, that we got from you, and me just being like, it would have been the first person we had on that we didn't really know, and I was like, what the hell, can we do this? Like, actually, like feeling a little fear, and then you come on, and you're one of our most profound guests. You have all these thoughts that we never even thought of. So just so awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure to connect with fans, like right at the time that TFA is on the come up. Again, we didn't plan it this way. Like, Michael Andrews said this a couple episodes ago. He's like, the mission statement of this podcast, this project, was just so that I could watch TFA. That's all where it started. We weren't meaning to like catch the wave or anything like that. It's like the wave found us.
Yeah. Well, and it was successful. Now you've watched it. You're almost done.
Almost there.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. All right, then. Well, Abbey, any final thoughts on I guess the whole TFA odyssey that you've been on with us? Because again, this is our last stop before the finale, and nothing will ever be the same again. But yeah, just any particular final thoughts you might want to share before we part ways.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, like, kind of on that topic of being, like, getting different perspectives. When I watch media, I don't usually watch it with other people. I watch it on my own, or, maybe, like, a friend or two. And I look really in-depth into media, like Transformers anime, which is why I like the podcast, because for the first time, really, at least for Transformers Animated, some people will do it with other shows, where they dissect it, or there's people on YouTube who dissect it. But it was the first time where I had so many thoughts about this show, and it just made me so happy that other people had those thoughts, but also other people had varying thoughts and things I didn't consider even after rewatching it 3 times, 4 times. I was like, oh, I never caught that, or I didn't know as much about the writers and what they had worked on. And so it was kind of like opening it through a whole nother perspective all over again, even though I've rewatched it and thought I had dissected it so much. Being able to listen to you guys, listen to the other audience members you guys bring in, has been so enlightening. And it's always nice to feel like a piece of media you hold close is also being held close by other people, and that it's getting respect in certain areas where, again, like for most of my life, I just knew I liked it and I watched it, and I didn't really know if other people liked it. And it's nice to see that people really do enjoy this and they want to talk about it. And now it's, reemerging, and sometimes people talking has that effect, I think, is that people understand it's a piece of media they like and then enjoy because people are talking about it. So yeah, and I thank you for kind of, again, having that platform where people can express that.
Awesome.
Well said. Well said. Tear in my eye.
Sorry.
I'm gonna cry on my own podcast here. I didn't cry when the Wolverine died, but I'm going to cry on my own podcast. Goodness. Goodness. Want to be a part of the show? Send us an email, 2mikes2furious@gmail.com. You can also comment on episodes on Spotify and on YouTube. Follow us on Blue Sky individually at Mike Cybert Radio and at Michael Andrews, respectively, and follow the podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 2mikes2furious. Well, thank you so much, Abbey. Really, really appreciate your friendship and your contributions, and for being awesome.
Yes, and then if I never see you on a podcast again, hopefully I see at least one of you at Cybfest. Northwest. So.
Yeah, probably not me, but yeah, sure,
in
one
spirit.
of us. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, no, I will definitely be there, and I will. I have a 2 Mikes 2 Furious button with your name on it.
Nice.
Awesome.
Just stop by the Mike Cybert Radio podcast / 2 Mikes 2 Furious media table, and I got buttons for you. Also, memo to myself: order more buttons.
So many more buttons.
Yeah.